At the gate of the Western Ocean, why haven't you arrived yet? What is the letter delivered by pigeon? Is this correct? Lu Feng and the three girls stood in front of the city gate waiting for everyone to return. Bringing a bunch of kids along, it's a bit slow. Lu Feng had to coax Ellie again. There they were, Dees realized, his face brightening, his eyes sparkling as he saw them return. There are so many rabbit race beastmen, Dees pointed into the distance and said, making Ellie's face full of excitement. Where, why can't I see? Seeing Ellie's limited vision, she lifted Ellie up and placed her on her shoulder, no different from a father taking his daughter to the circus. So what? See? Seeing this scene, Lu Feng and Nicole couldn't help but laugh, the two of them could only smile. I see, the silhouettes of people walking up the slope, sunlight shining through. Mina, Via, Ellie sat on shoulders waving their hands to welcome everyone back. Ellie, the young master, and the rescue team were all excited to see each other again. It's the young master, he's coming out to greet us, Via introduced her young master to her grandmother. The noble came to the door to welcome us, how could this be? She couldn't believe her eyes, she had always thought that nobles were a bunch of debauched people who didn't care about anyone. But now there was a nobleman standing up to welcome her home. No, Lu Feng and Mina looked at each other and smiled with friendly eyes. The two looked at each other, suddenly falling into a romantic scene that no one could interrupt. Both of them seemed to have waited for this day for a long time, suddenly feeling happiness everywhere. A hand grabbed Mina, breaking the warm atmosphere. Ellie just pulled Mina aside, making Lu Feng speechless and disappointed. Mina, are you hurt? Let me see. Ellie groped around her to check her sister. Anyone who touched a single hair on her would have trouble with this little sister. Let me carry you down. Sorry to bother you. Little one, are you hungry? Everyone rushed to greet the new beastman. Everyone became very friendly, creating a comfortable and easy to integrate feeling. City Lord. Mrs. Mary awkwardly held the child's hand and greeted Lu Feng. She was still timid and scared, but Lu Feng smiled brightly. Welcome everyone to Xi'an City. He was like the morning sun, always making everyone feel warm. Mrs. Mary looked at Via as if asking her to say something. Young master, Via spoke again and bowed her head. Lu Feng seemed to have adapted well to this behavior and quickly dodged. Can work to support these children, please do not chase them away. Via is afraid that these young children cannot work, will not be able to stay, so she is so sincere with you. When did I say I would chase them away? He sighed helplessly and said softly to her, her heart was moved by his sweet words. It's not her turn to raise them. Once in the Western City, they are my people. It is my responsibility to feed them and give them shelter. Don't compete with me. Lu Feng's words made the newly arrived beastman quite surprised, especially Mrs. Mary, she still couldn't believe that there were such good people. Via, don't worry, knowing that these kids are coming, the young master has already prepared a place to stay. Ellie told her about Lu Feng's thoughtfulness, which proves that everyone, including Lu Feng, loves these kids very much. Yes, young master, Via was moved by these actions, her sparkling eyes gradually filled with tears. Mina, go home and rest, come on, Nicole, take everyone to the place to see. Baby, what's your name? Me, my name is Sumi, the kids seem to adapt well here too. Come on, follow me, Nicole led the kids along with her, she looked like a teacher leading her children to explore a new land. Yes, the children also obediently followed her, Mrs. Mary looked at the children but still couldn't help but worry. Jair, show me you are the lord of this place, is it trustworthy? It's hard to say, he looked at her not knowing how to answer. If anything happens, you have to take everyone away immediately, she looked at him and reminded him to always be on guard. Ma'am, don't worry, he said with a responsible, authoritative look. Come in the middle of the vast capital, tall buildings layer upon layer intertwined with each other, see everyone's new homes. Nicole took everyone to the house where they would be staying for the time being. So big, from kids to adults everyone is amazed at such a big house. I'm sure everyone is tired, so I'll take everyone back to their rooms to rest first. Nicole showed everyone inside so they could get ready to rest. As for the kids from earlier until now, they were surprised from one place to another. So beautiful, the blanket smells so good, so soft, looking at the children filled with happiness before the luxurious things they never dreamed of. Can we really stay here? Grandma, it's so comfortable here, much warmer than sleeping on hay. The child's words sounded so innocent but made people feel sad, perhaps the little girl had never known what happiness was. Great, all of this is not a dream. Mrs. Mary said with emotion, she really didn't think they would prepare so carefully. A pot of hot delicious porridge was brought out by Nicole. Everyone put away your things, let's eat, she happily brought food to everyone. It smells so good, the kids happily ran over. Don't be in a hurry, one at a time, there's a lot of porridge, you can eat as much as you want. Seeing the children each pick up a bowl of porridge and eat it all made Lu Feng very happy. From now on, the 3 meals a day for some children would be taken care of by the city lord. As for the children in the orphanage who have to go to the city to go to school, I will pay the tuition in advance and then write it off until they turn 15. The children still didn't understand what was going on, chewing while looking up at Lu Feng. After turning 15, they would be adults, responsible for themselves, and would have to pay for their own tuition. Seeing this scene, she was filled with tears of gratitude. Thanking the city lord, she knelt down very sincerely. "Mrs. Mary, please get up. I still have something I need your help with." Lu Feng hurriedly ran over to help her up. "Yes, I want you to be the deputy director of this orphanage, and later be in charge of the living and eating activities for the children here. Supervise the children, whether they are human or beast. The monthly salary is 1 silver coin, do you agree?" The more he spoke, the more moved she became to tears. Why are you so nice to us? Don't humans hate beastmen?" She didn't think she would be treated so well by humans. Lu Feng smiled silently. "To me, humans and beastmen are the same, there is no difference." He stood with his arms crossed and told everyone about his philosophy of life. In this western city, everyone is equal. Facing the sunlight, he is like the hope of all the people, making Mrs. Mary and the children feel safe and secure here. Deep down he was different, mainly, very cute. His lustful eyes appeared again. Already in love with Mina and still acting cute. West City, Drunken Palace, Lelisa in new clothes. After drinking her fill at Drunken Palace, she walked out with a full belly. But it seems like she still hasn't had enough of the food. I heard there's a dish called pig stomach stuffed with chicken, it's also very delicious. I have to try it tomorrow. As she spoke, she imagined a pot of hot and delicious pig stomach stuffed with chicken. Her face brightened up just by mentioning food. She put the hand in the small bag on her hip. The more I checked, the more I felt something was wrong. Wait. She immediately poured out all the coins in her pocket, leaving only a few coins. Just ate and drank at this Tai Tu Lao for a few days, and already ran out of money. Like a bolt from the blue, thinking about what kind of place Tai Tu Lao was that I dared to eat there for several days, it was inevitable that I would run out of money. Lelisa stood in front of the recruitment notice of Fate Pizza Store in Taeduong City. Recruiting staff, showing up was a bit dangerous. She slowly read the recruitment notice. Hiring, 3 staff for the store, requirements, literate female, age 15 to 25, know some manners, monthly salary, 200 copper coins. Although I don't want to reveal myself, the salary of the restaurant is also very high, just 1 month and I can return to Tai Tu Lao. It's true that when the playboy runs out of money to have fun, he goes back to work to continue causing trouble. Excuse me, are you here to apply? Where did Lu Feng and his group come from to visit him? Yes, that's right, she turned around in surprise, it seemed Lelisa recognized them. It was him, the city lord Lu Feng. So let's go in. Nicole went up to open the door for the guests. She smiled and talked happily because there were going to be new employees. Nice arrangement. Lu Feng and the other 4 people came in to praise her. The tables and chairs were neatly arranged, following the master's design, and a few items that everyone liked were added. Nicole shyly showed them off to everyone. Nicole was getting better and better. Lu Feng started praising her again. It was because the young master taught her well. This was the 59th time the young master praised her. She was humble on the outside, but on the inside she counted them one by one. If Lu Feng praised her a few more times, she would probably faint with joy. Ha, still my buffalo horn in spirit. Dees ran to stroke her horn and laughed happily. In terms of her ideas, no one could stop her. Strangely enough, my lollipop is prettier. It matches that round-looking pizza. Ellie is no match either. She shows off the item she brought to the store, comparing it to Deesa's buffalo horn. And then the two of them started a fierce war, their eyes filled with hatred and dislike for each other, wanting to devour each other. I'm invisible. Everyone is so engrossed in talking that they forgot there's a guest here. The thing is, do you guys need any more hires? She waved her hand to get Nicole's attention. Oh, sorry, what's your name? My name is Lelisa, she replied curtly, which surprised Nicole quite a bit. Oh, why is this girl talking so strangely? Hello, I'm Nicole. Let us see your ability first. Nicole said and gave him the job to do. She tried being a waitress first, and so she started as a waitress, looking quite like a maid. It was true that she started working for the delicious food. Dear guests, please drink water. Lelisa brought water to the table and invited everyone to drink. I want 5 large meatball pizzas. I want tomato egg pizzas, 6, no, 8, the extra large one pizza like on the sign. Me too. Everyone was bustling about reading out the names of the dishes they wanted to eat. Everyone asked for a large amount, but she was quite quick and took very complete notes. Okay, 5 large meatball pizzas, 8 extra large tomato egg pizzas, 2 pizzas as advertised, so how about a medium pizza as advertised? Okay, after finishing the order, Lelisa turned and walked into the kitchen. Everyone was paying attention to her. This girl was not simple, so it seemed that they noticed something unusual about her. Knowing how to read and write, knowing etiquette, speaking tone, at least she was not from a normal family. Just through a few small actions, everyone could judge her personality. Young master, do you need me to investigate? Nina's natural reflex was to always want to resolve unanswered questions. No need to rush, just pay attention, Lu Feng reminded everyone. Now let's try to process the ingredients. Nicole gave her a new task. Okay, she happily accepted, picked up the knife and got ready to work. Lelisa looked at the basket of vegetables for a moment, then tossed it up, sending everything flying into the air. In just a moment, she was able to slash continuously with just one glance. The intersecting slashes looked quite skillful. But Nicole's face froze. Ha! In front of her was a mess, like in a chef movie. Just a few slashes and it could fit on a plate. But now, look at it, the tomatoes were smashed to pieces, and the rest was scattered around. Nicole could only smile. Let's try kneading the dough, she said and gave the other girl another task. Okay, a bag of rice is placed neatly on the table. Lelisa reached in and grabbed it, then threw it up in the air, startling her. Stop it, she tried to stop what she was doing. She threw handfuls of flour all around. If not, then maybe we can make a fire. Ouch, Nicole rushed over to stop her. Hey, wait. Before she could finish her sentence, a flash of fire exploded, sending her flying. It was unknown whether she was alive or dead, but the fire was very strong. Who are these two people? Lu Feng looked at their disheveled appearances and became confused. I'm Lelisa, young master, don't look at me. One of them replied innocently and slowly, the other cried for fear of being embarrassed in front of the person he loved. Don't you know that when you light a fire and let the powder fly around like that, it will cause an explosion? Then I have to pay compensation? Hire me, I will work to pay off the debt. She seemed to realize that the problem was quite serious, that's why she said that. If you go into the kitchen, I'm afraid I won't be able to see the young master again. If Lelisa is not suitable for the kitchen but can read and write, then she should be in charge of taking orders and calculating the bill. Since the young master said so, Nicole had no choice but to accept it. Lelisa took Nicole's hand and said, I'll try. And then the two of them officially got to work in their dirty, sloppy state. You, young master, I also want to apply. Via also rushed forward to apply, she made Lu Feng quite surprised. Me, I also want to go to work, to do something for the children in the orphanage. Oh, then I won't be polite. Lu Feng approached her and pressed his face close, his eyes and voice immediately changed, looking more like he was threatened. You're better off. Be a teacher in the West. Teacher, it seems that Via used to like this job too, so her eyes became unusually sparkling. Primary school in the West, at the beginning, human nature is inherently good, nature is similar, practice is different, the teacher's educational voice is transmitted to students from primary school. Currently, the school is temporarily using the old rooms. Next spring, when the new school is finished, the children can move there to study. People came to visit the school, where illiteracy was solved. What books did the children study? The three-character classic, one of the primary books of my hometown. Lu Feng never forgot to advertise his hometown. Via thought to herself, studying so hard, these students must be very good, the thoughts of beastmen are always so naive. Ha ha ha, I am General Guan Yu, look at my Azure Dragon Crescent Blade, a kid is playing around with a broom behind me. He and a few vandals were playing a game of fighting. Those robbers, don't run, face the storm. They were like bandits, looking very destructive, making Via want to take back what she said earlier. Okay, I'll be Guan Yu's general, you're a robber. No, Guan Yu can still kill another 300 rounds. These are the students I have to teach. Via gradually worried about the future of teaching the children. Just thinking about it made him feel helpless. Lu Feng walked towards the children playing, Lord City Lord. The mischievous kids burst into tears when they saw Lu Feng. Each of them dropped their tools and ran towards him. Hello, you guys, you startled Via. Lord, did you come here today to tell me about the romance of the three kingdoms? I still want to hear about General Guan Yu. That's right, last time I told you about General Guan Yu, I thought General Zhang Fei went to kill bandits. Okay, sit down first. The kids had just met Lu Feng again and immediately asked him to tell them the story again. They didn't expect these naughty kids to listen to their master so much. All three girls did not expect this attitude from the children. Before telling the story today, let me introduce you to a new teacher. Lu Feng stood on the podium and told the children. Her name is Via, you can call her Miss Via. She will teach you and tell you stories from now on. You must be obedient and listen, don't be unruly, okay? Hearing his introduction, Via felt a little nervous, because the kids were so naughty just now that she couldn't keep her composure. Yes, Lord, the voice was crisp and clear, so high, almost half as high as Ellie, so long ears, so pretty, the children's compliments and gossip made her even more nervous. Thea, just stay by my side and watch me teach them today. You can learn my way from now on. Yes, you obediently listen to Lu Feng. Today I will tell a story that is even better than Romance of the Three Kingdoms. The story is called, The Eyes of Some Children Gradually Lit Up. Just hearing the story made their attitudes change very quickly. Journey to the West, now he tells them a new story, but one that is familiar to us. Once upon a time, long ago, in the country of Ngao lie in the eastern Tang Than Chao. There was a big mountain there called Hoa Kwa Sun. On it was a rock. His way of telling stories made it easy for the children to absorb them, and they all listened attentively to the story. Suddenly one day, a loud noise was heard, the magic stone exploded, and a stone monkey flew out from it. Lu Feng told the story with great enthusiasm and emotion. Thea watched him from afar. Young master, he really can do anything. Lu Feng always radiates positive energy, making everyone jealous. The clear blue sky and rustling trees create a peaceful and poetic scene. Whether human or beast, after death, they all go to a place called hell. If they do bad things, they will be pushed down to the 18th level of hell. The two brothers, by Wu Chang, came to drag that monkey down to hell. The story is getting more and more dramatic. Lu Feng's acting is becoming more and more worthy of an international award. It seems like the story is so long that my throat is dry. Nicole, holding a water bottle in her arms, walked straight forward. Without saying a word, she threw the cup of water straight into Lu Feng's mouth. Young master, drink it quickly, then quickly continue. The sudden action caused him to choke on the water and turn pale. Next, if you want to know what happened next, please follow the next part. While everyone was waiting for him to tell the story, he made everyone wait until the next day. Everyone's faces filled with regret. You guys have to listen to the lecture and do your homework, then I will tell Ms. Via to tell you the rest. Lu Feng used a soft hand to tie the children tightly. Who every time, we have to finish our homework, teacher, we will listen to you. Making the children look obedient and listen to Lu Feng, this was also a way to make the children closer to Via. What should the 100,000 heavenly soldiers and generals and the monkeys at Flower Fruit Mountain do? Surely Sun Wukong would defeat the enemy and protect Flower Fruit Mountain. As dusk fell, everyone moved to leave, but the two girls continued to discuss the ending of the story. Both of them stared at Lu Feng as if they wanted to continue asking about the story just now. Young master, what happened to the monkeys after that? That's right, young master, please reveal a little, tell us a little in advance, okay? It looked like two little kids were asking for candy from their mother. Okay, the story behind this, I will write it down and leave it in the study room. Tomorrow you two can go read it yourself. Lu Feng is helpless against these two people. Great, I can read it tomorrow. Both of them hugged Lu Feng, making his face blush, even though he was surrounded by girls all day. But just being hugged could shake his will. Thank you, young master. While everyone was having fun, Via seemed a bit sad, as if she had something to say. Young master, her words interrupted the teasing just now. Can I really be a teacher? I'm afraid I won't be as good as you, master. Her two hands clasped together. Via, there are very few literate people in the western city, let alone those who can be teachers. She is literate and patient, she will definitely do better than me. Moreover, if Via were to teach those children, the words he said to her would carry positive energy, not only comforting her but also motivating her to become more confident. Therefore, in the future, there will be no more discrimination against beastmen in the western city. It turns out that this is the reason he wanted her to become a teacher. Nina also looked at her with gentle, sympathetic eyes. Young master is so great, I just hugged you, you are truly an opportunistic beauty who knows how to seize every opportunity. Young master, she started to get emotional again and ran to hug Lu Feng, thanking young master. Stop, Lu Feng reminded her, she quickly apologized again. The rabbit tribe was indeed very adorable and cute. The sun was high in the sky, the white clouds were like a flock of pure sheep grazing. The sunlight was sparkling, the air was pleasant. Suddenly someone sighed. Oh my, it was the purple-haired girl with two horns, Dees. Today, the girl was wearing a brown leather dress with straps across the chest and a small tie around her neck. The girl with a hot body was sitting with her back against the wall, a sandwich still in her mouth. The girl's eyes were closed, her hands behind her head, seemingly thinking about something. Sitting next to her was a weasel girl with round ears and a striped tail. She was also holding a piece of bread in her hand, but she was not in a hurry to eat it. She asked the purple-haired girl, Sister Dees, what's wrong? Dees spit out the bread in her mouth and tilted her head back. Nothing, just a little bored. The little weasel heard Dees complaining and suddenly thought of a way. She raised her finger, indicating that she had a good idea. She said to Dees, then you should also find a job. For example, be a teacher like Via. The little girl said innocently. Being a teacher. When Dees heard about being a teacher, she imagined a tall, muscular teacher kicking and sending disobedient children flying everywhere. How could that be? No, I can't be a teacher. Dees thought, she must understand me better than anyone. The Weasel Girl suggested another job. Then she cooks. It seems that Tai Tu Lao is recruiting chefs. Speaking of which, Dees found herself in a pure white chef's outfit, but two sharp horns pierced through the hat. One hand held the pan, the other had punctured and broken the bottom of the pan. Dees said again, it doesn't seem to work. What about sewing? The suggestions kept coming. No, Dees answered bluntly. Herb picking? No. Business? No. Lots of suggestions were made and none of them seemed to work. Dees lay down on the floor tiredly, sighing. The Foxtail Girl asked again. Sister Dees, what are your specialties? The Beast Girl frowned in thought. After a while, she thought of her forte. Her face lit up, she jumped up and said loudly. Fighting? Wow, fighting is her forte. What kind of work is fighting suitable for? The little girl looked down, sad. Then, there is no job for you. Stop. Thief, stop for me. We are the guards. The voice echoed from the street below. The Beast Girl looked out. Down in the street, a man was carrying a bag with something on his shoulder. It looked like stolen goods. 3 guards in black and blue uniforms were chasing after him. It could be seen that all 3 guards were beastmen. The people walking on the street were frightened. No one dared to help the guards catch the thief. No running. The guards continued to chase and shout loudly. The thief was at his wits' end. He grabbed a girl on the street. He put a knife to her neck and threatened everyone. Don't come here. If you don't, I'll kill her. He said, his hand holding the knife very violently. The girl was so scared that she could only scream. Oh, help. Faced with the sudden situation, the guard stopped, not daring to act. Guard number 0057 asked guard number 001. Captain, what should we do now? The captain looked confused and bewildered, and said to the members of the guard team. Don't act yet, the first rule of the guard. Must protect the interests of the people. The captain had just finished speaking when suddenly a figure swooped down from above. Pop. The Beast Girl Dees's punch landed straight on the thief's head, causing both of his eyes to fall out. Taking the opportunity, the girl who was being held hostage quickly ran away. The thief fell to the ground, blood gushing out of his mouth. Dees stood beside him and dusted off his hands. With just one punch, the thief was defeated. Indeed, the Beast Girl's strength was beyond question. The guards witnessed the girl defeat the thief and free the hostage. They were extremely surprised and admired. So good. At the security station, the chief was sitting behind a table. 2 guards stood on either side. The purple-haired Beast Girl and the fox-tailed girl stood in front of each other. The chief was talking to the Beast Girl. My subordinates had told me everything this morning. I heard that Miss Dees here is stronger than most people, and has good martial arts skills. She saved a girl in a time of danger. He praised. Dees was a little embarrassed and scratched his head. Too much praise. Then, suddenly, the chief made a suggestion. How about she go to the guard team and become the captain? Guard 001 standing next to her nodded repeatedly, showing his agreement with the chief's idea. Indeed, if this girl with extraordinary strength was a guard, the people would surely be very peaceful. The purple-haired girl seemed surprised by the request of the chief of the guard department. She asked again, the captain of the guard team? The director said again, that's right, the city lord wants to send troops out of the city. From now on the security inside the city will be taken care of by our security department. Right now our department is short on talent. The director with blonde hair and blue eyes said with great goodwill. After hearing the director's words, the Beast Girl was overjoyed. She ran straight to the director's desk, raised a fist, and said excitedly. Being the captain of the guard team means fighting every day, right? The strength of the Beast Girl surprised the guards. Faced with the innocence and childishness of the Beast Girl, the chief of the guards could only smile and slowly explain. The main responsibility of the guards is to protect the security and order in the city and the property of the people. Of course, if they encounter people who do not obey the law, they can use force against them. Guard 001 shouted, you have to go there, we need you badly. Well, the Beast Girl replied, okay, that sounds good. So Dees happily accepted the position of captain of the guard. It was quite suitable for her expertise. The Foxtail Girl happily exclaimed. Great, Sister Dees has a job too. At the gate of the western city. On a carriage, a group of people were talking to each other. One man was wearing a wide-brimmed hat and the western city military uniform. One man was elegantly dressed. I say, Peter, why did you think of coming here? We should go to Lima City and take a look. The city there is quite bustling. Maybe we can get some news about the white-haired demoness. One of them had a chubby face. There was also a mole on his chin. He was talking to a well-dressed man. Hal. Calm down. If you were a wanted criminal with a bounty on your head, would you go to the big cities? Or hide in small towns? Another man with gray hair, wrinkled skin, and age spots on his cheeks said. Probably some big city, where you can eat a lot of delicious food. The fat man with a mole on his face joked. They laughed happily. The gray-haired man said again. That's you. This city also accepts beastmen, so the possibility of the white-haired demoness here is very high. Anyway, leave the brainstorming to me, let's enter the city first. I can smell the food. The fat man with the mole on his chin replied. It's true that fat people tend to be gluttonous. Two men got off the carriage, the guards were checking them. He asked. Is this your first time in Xi'an City? Are you merchants, tourists, or job seekers? The two of them, one fat and one thin, answered in unison. They are tourists. The guard gave them the book about the Western City and said warmly. Okay, this book has an introduction to the Western City. Have fun. Thank you. The two men spoke. The gray-haired man held the notebook the soldier had given him in his hand. He glanced at the guards. He thought to himself. The security here is too strict. If there was a conflict, I'm afraid that in a second, we would all be dead. As soon as the two men left, the guard also felt suspicious. Winter was coming, and they were still traveling to Xi'an City. He handed a piece of paper to another soldier. Instructions. Give this to the intelligence team. Those two are very suspicious. Clear. The gray-haired man opened the guidebook to the Western City. He read it out loud. Guidebook to the Western City. Big market, drunken palace, bank, police station, money exchange, 1 copper coin can be exchanged for 10 steel coins, taxes and restrictions on buying and selling. Any place, big or small, throughout the Western City. Hal, this city has a lot of rules. You have to pay attention. Huh? Where is the person? He was so engrossed in his reading that he did not notice when his friend beside him had gone. He turned around but did not see the fat man named Hal. At a dumpling shop, a fat man named Hal was eating dumplings in his mouth. He put 23 dumplings in his mouth at once and chewed them greedily. A man like him ate as much as several people put together. He said happily as he ate. So delicious. So delicious. Never had anything so delicious before. It's called dumplings? Boss? Add some more. The bakery owner looked at the fat man eating and seemed to be full. He smiled with a distorted face. He hesitated and said, Sir, you ate all our dumplings. What about the money? The bakery owner hesitated. Seeing the boss hesitate, the fat man immediately said, I am a bounty hunter. Do I owe you some money to buy this bun? Having said that, the fat man reached into his pocket and took out 3 coins. There were different patterns on them. He held out the coins to the baker. But he just stood there watching. Striding on the road, the beast girl Dees was happily laughing and talking as she walked. Hee hee, today is my first day at work. I have to do my best. The fox-tailed girl looked up and stared at the thing Dees was carrying on her shoulder. She asked. What is that thing you're holding in your hand? It's so strange. The beast girl raised her stick and answered the little girl enthusiastically. You mean this? It seems to be Lu Feng's. It's called a baseball bat or something. I found it convenient so I borrowed it. She said it without any embarrassment. The guard beside her reminded her. It should be a thief. Suddenly there was a commotion from the crowd ahead. The beast girl spoke up. What's going on over there? Not knowing the truth, the beast girl rolled up her sleeves and hurried forward. Hee hee, got something to do. She made the fox-tailed girl and the guard behind her chase after her. Wait for me. Hey, someone is not paying. It turned out to be the bakery owner. He was screaming because he couldn't get the money from the fat man who ate all the buns in his shop. The shop owner lay down on the floor, hugging the fat man's leg and screaming. A crowd of curious people gathered around to look. With his leg held and unable to move, the fat man shouted at the bakery owner. Get out. Who said I won't pay? Wait until I catch the monster. I'll pay however much you want. Stop. A loud shout rang out. The beast girl Dees carried a baseball bat on her shoulder, rushed into the store, stood in front of the fat man, and said loudly. He had the right to remain silent, but anything he said would be used as evidence in court. With a determined look in his eyes and a firm voice, Dees got the attention of the two men. They stopped to see what was going on. They thought the guards would take them to the police station, but Dees disappointed the viewers. The Beast Girl suddenly turned to the Foxtail Girl and asked in a playful tone. Was that move cool? The Foxtail Girl praised again. Sister Dees is the coolest. The guard standing there was speechless. As if he had caught a rare opportunity, the bakery owner suddenly cried out in anguish. Oh! Thank goodness, guard! He cried as he spoke. You came at the right time, you have to do me justice. I have old parents above me, small children below me, and an old lady across me. It was very hard for me to open this dumpling shop. Staying up late and waking up early, facing many difficulties, and yet they even cheated me out of money. My life is so miserable. After hugging the fat man's leg, the bakery owner turned to hug the leg of the security guard Dees. The Beast Girl then looked at the fat man and said, See? After eating, you have to pay. It's an immutable rule. If you don't, you'll be punished with 15 days of detention. After hearing what the guard Dees said, the fat man not only did not pay, he also turned away and spoke in an incomprehensible tone. Up until now, I've always been the one to catch people for the bounty. This is the first time I've heard of someone catching hunters like me. At this moment, Dees was like hitting gold because she caught the big man's mistake. She was excited. Oh, knowing the law but still breaking it, the crime was increased by one level. Dees held the baseball bat and swung it in her hand. Now I can hit people to my heart's content. With that, the Beast Girl rushed out, raising the bat and chasing after the fat man. The big man challenged. Ha, you dare to confront a bounty hunter like me? He said and raised his hands in a defensive stance. Even if the beastmen were stronger than you, at least 100 of them would have been defeated by me. Don't even mention a mere child like you. Come on. The Beast Girl's eyes were blazing, not being able to move her hands or feet caused her to have to restrain her energy for a long time. Today, when she finally had the chance to use it, she went crazy, putting all her strength into her attack. A loud noise rang out. The stick came down as if it wanted to dent the fat man's head. He lay on the ground, right at the Beast Girl's feet. She took down her opponent in a blink of an eye, regretting that it was too fast. That was too fast. I didn't even have time to warm up. The gray-haired man was walking down the street when he heard people talking excitedly. Have you heard? The captain of the guard team caught a fat guy who didn't pay his bills. Oh, let's go over there and see. They all went together to see. Hearing that, the gray-haired man frowned and thought. Oh no, could it be Hal? The man's arm was dragged across the floor. The crowd gathered around just to see the female guard catch a defaulter. The Taurus girl said to the Foxtail girl. Xiao Huan, the job of the guard team is so interesting. The little girl agreed, but the guard who was with her looked grumpy. Probably just likes to get physical, right? The guard thought. The gray-haired man squeezed through the crowd of people standing around. He watched as his fat friend Hal was dragged along the street, motionless. He was stunned. No? Although Hal was no expert, he was considered quite good among bounty hunters. Yet he was defeated by a beast girl. In our bounty hunter group, Hal was in charge of the fighting and I was in charge of the planning. Now Hal was captured. So what I have to face is the risk of my life's career. Just thinking about it made his spine shiver. Without Hal, how would he manage in the future? He held his head in fear and worry. What to do, my life? Striving for a big dream. Is it going to end like this? He sat down. The dream that had just started to burn had now died out, only a faint light remained. Suddenly, he saw the image of a rabbit beast woman and her granddaughter walking together. The rabbit beast woman was hopping around as she walked, happily asking her grandmother, Girl, where are we going today? She looked at the rabbit and smiled gently. Today is Xiao Huan's birthday, let's go to the big market to buy a cake. Yes. The image of the rabbit beast grandmother and granddaughter walking together was beautiful to this gray-haired man. He thought to himself, so beautiful. Is this what it feels like to fall in love at first sight? My life is full of hope again. God does not cut off people's paths. He walked and talked, leaning back. His gait was really unlike that of a normal person. The rabbit beast girl saw this and immediately asked the girl. Grandma, what's wrong with that uncle? She replied as she pulled the beast girl's hand. Never mind, he's mentally ill. In the eyes of the gray-haired man, the old beast woman had turned into a goddess. He shouted loudly. Goddess, wait for me. In the Fate Pizza shop, suddenly there was a loud laugh. Ha ha ha, this is so funny. Lu Feng was sitting there eating pizza. The pizza was still on the plate, but Lu Feng was laughing heartily. "Young master, what's wrong?" Nicole approached Lu Feng and asked. Lu Feng was holding the piece of paper in his hand and smiling. He gave the piece of paper to Nicole and said, "Ha ha ha, look. I just received news that 2 bounty hunters have arrived at Xi'an City. Guess what, one of them was caught by Dees for not paying his debt, and the other fell in love with Mary at first sight and ran off with her. Ha ha ha, these people's IQs are so high. Ha ha ha." Lu Feng and Nicole both laughed out loud. While Lu Feng and Nicole were talking about the bounty hunters who came to Xi'an City, a beautiful girl sitting at a nearby table heard them. She had platinum hair and a very beautiful face. She snorted softly and stood up to walk out of the room. Lu Feng glanced over, looking doubtful. In the capital of the northern Wind City, the lord of the city Tafakoki was putting a fish in his mouth, then picking up a cup of water and taking a sip. His eyes were half closed. He was talking to himself. Eat a piece of dried fish, drink a sip of milk tea, lie on a soft chair, and enjoy the fairy life. It was all thanks to the city lord Lu Feng. Indeed, he was still lying on his usual red armchair, leisurely enjoying the luxurious life of an aristocrat. Suddenly someone ran in to report an emergency. "City lord," he said, breathing heavily. "Son, second son of Count Pulley, brother of Baron Homa, Baron Adam asks to see you." Hearing the news, Tafakoki fell from his chair to the ground. It was not known whether it was from shock or fear. The door of the drawing room opened, a blond man stood there, facing the window, flanked by 2 guards. "Oh, Baron Adam, the dragon has come to the shrimp house." "No, I didn't pick him up from afar, no, I didn't pick him up from afar." The Tafakoki city lord spoke politely, and then he laughed happily. The matter with Homa meant that Beifeng City had offended Lima City. Now that Homa's brother himself had come, the Beifeng City lord was right to be worried. "Oh no, he's not here to settle the score with me, is he?" Tafakoki thought to himself. At this moment, Baron Adam turned around. His face was noble, handsome, with long, flowing blonde hair, truly a prince, elegant. Unlike Homa, Adam had romantic blue eyes that attracted the person opposite, not cold and deadly. The lord of Beifeng City thought to himself. It seems that this Baron Adam is much more polite than Homa. The lord of Beifeng City invited Baron Adam to sit at the table to drink tea. On the table, a cup of hot tea was steaming. He whispered to the butler. "Damn it, why are you treating me with milk tea? These are my last 2 packs. The butler replied. "Didn't you say to treat me with the best?" Baron Adam took a sip of milk tea. The taste was strangely delicious. Unable to contain his curiosity, Adam asked. "What kind of drink is this? It smells so sweet." The lord of Beifeng City, Tafakoki, replied. "Is it good? This is a new drink. It is from Baron Lu Feng of Xi'an City." Having said this, he suddenly stopped. He left his sentence unfinished. "Baron Adam, if you like, drink a lot. Ha ha." He continued speaking. Baron Adam put the cup of milk tea down on the table. He spoke slowly. "I came here this time mainly to hear something. My father is old. His health is not as good as before. He always misses his son who is far away, so he specially asked me to come and pick up my younger brother. But I heard that half a month ago, after he went out, there was no more news. Baron Tafakoki, have you seen my brother Homa?" Baron Adam said, his eyes boring into the lord of Beifeng Castle. Although he deliberately wanted to stall for time, Tafakoki had to face this matter. He thought to himself, finally getting to the main point. Suddenly, the old lord of Beifeng City slammed the table and stood up, looking surprised. "What? You said you didn't see Baron Homa?" Although he said that, he reassured himself. "That's right, I've never seen Baron Homa either. I only know the bandit Homa." He put his hand on his chin, pretending to think. "I was busy fighting off the bandits before, so I didn't pay much attention. Moreover, that daring bandit even dared to kill him." Speaking up to here, he appeared to be thinking, then with a thud, he propped himself up on his hand, presenting what he was about to say as if it were shocking news. Could it be that Baron Homa was taken away by the bandits? Baron Adam's face changed color when he heard his speculation, his eyes widened, his mouth stammered, "You mean, my brother?" He hesitated, waiting for Baron Tafakoki's answer. The old lord of Beifeng waved his hand, showing sympathy. Of course, Baron Homa probably wasn't that unlucky. Or maybe something happened, so he should stop somewhere. He was really trying to be both gentle and kind. Adam stood up after hearing him, raised his hand to his chest in gratitude, and then bid farewell. "No matter what, thank you, Lord. If there is no news of Homa, then I will bid farewell." Having said that, he and the two guards turned and walked out of the room. The old lord of the northern wind city, Tafakoki, secretly felt pleased. Was he scared away? Hee, Count Pulley's son is not doing well now. It seems he has underestimated the Homa brothers. Just as he stepped out of the city gate, Adam turned back to ask his subordinates. How was the investigation? His voice was cold, his eyes were no longer the same as when he first entered Biasifong City. His gaze was sharp, indifferent, and cold. Two underlings disguised as scouts came out and bowed before Adam. Reporting to the master, half a month ago, there were indeed bandits attacking Beifong City. The time coincided with the time when Baron Homa went missing. They said. Adam closed his eyes and calmly analyzed. If the timing was right, but if those bandits were Homa, then this abandoned city lord was no match. I heard that the one who repelled the bandits was not the lord of Beifong City, but Lu Feng, the lord of Shiyang City. One of the two subordinates replied. Baron Adam glared. Suddenly understanding the problem, he burst out laughing. Ha ha ha. So that's how it is. Quickly send news to my father, say that Homa was killed by the lord of Shiyang City, tell my father to quickly send a team of elite knights here, the sooner the better. He ordered his subordinates, a sinister smile on his face. The blue-clothed subordinate spoke again. Baron, although he did not see Baron Homa, still did not know whether he was really dead or not. He honestly reported. At this moment, Adam revealed his fake face. He curled his lips, gritted his teeth and spoke each word so that his subordinates could hear clearly. I said he was dead, so he was dead. It seemed that he did not care about his brother's life or death, what he really wanted was his own ambition. Inside the Xi'an fortress, Lu Feng was reading a book at his desk. Suddenly, Uncle Niu Ben and someone else walked in. He said. Report to the city lord. What's wrong? Lu Feng asked. Young master. Niu Ben spoke. In his hand was an open box. He said. Here is what you are looking for. Found it. Inside the box were neatly arranged ginseng branches, each branch was plump and full. Lu Feng was overjoyed when he saw it. His eyes lit up and his mouth exclaimed with joy. This was it. It was really great. He picked up a branch and brought it to his nose to smell it. Uncle Niu Ben and the guy with him looked at Lu Feng's actions and were puzzled. I wonder why the young master is so interested in these roots. That's right. In the other world, they don't know what ginseng is or how rare it is. Only Lu Feng on Earth knows the benefits that ginseng brings. How much is there in total? Lu Feng asked. There are 17 large branches and a few small branches, but I didn't bring them in. If the city lord wants, we can continue digging. There is also a gorge north of Shiyang City. The distance is not too far, it will only take 2 days to go and return. The soldier reported. Okay. Remember this, keep it a secret. Don't tell anyone. Lu Feng ordered. Lu Feng thought about the rare ginseng branches that could be dug up in the western city and felt extremely excited. He had already made his calculations. In this world, there were many medicines whose main ingredient was ginseng, which had the effects of replenishing vital energy, strengthening the spleen, strengthening the lungs, detoxifying, nourishing the brain, and calming the mind. Dividing this ginseng into the correct proportions could not only be used to make medicine to save people, but the remaining could also be brought back to Earth to exchange for more money, making it easier to spend than the money he had brought before. Lu Feng thought to himself, he was truly smart and wise. After listening carefully to the Lord's instructions, the soldier raised his hand to his forehead to signal his obedience. Yes. Suddenly something fell out of the bag the soldier was carrying on his shoulder. Lu Feng saw the thing and exclaimed. This is a panda. Yes, it was a fat baby panda, its body was round like a cotton ball, its fur was soft and smooth, it looked so adorable. The soldier saw the bear fall out and quickly explained. This is something that my subordinate found on the way. Its mother was attacked and killed by a pack of wolves. It was all alone, I found it cute so I brought it back. I'll let the city lord keep it as a pet, but if he doesn't like it, I'll take it away. The soldier thought that Lu Feng didn't like this animal. But surprisingly, contrary to what the soldier thought, Lu Feng exclaimed. It's really cute. He then ran over and hugged the little panda, bringing it close to his face. His eyes showed great delight. Seeing Lu Feng curling his fist around the little panda, showing his love for animals, Uncle Niu Ben and the soldier were both surprised. They didn't expect the city lord to be here. It seemed like the city lord really liked it. Suddenly, a voice spoke up. What are you saying, so cute? A group of young ladies suddenly appeared after hearing Lu Feng mention the cute panda. Ellie, then Mina, then Nicole, and finally Dees poked their heads out from behind the wall. The girls' eyes widened as they listened. After seeing the panda, all 4 girls shouted with joy. Wow, the eyes looking at the baby bear were filled with affection and love. Lu Feng thought to himself when he saw all 4 girls enjoying themselves so much. It seems that the allure of national treasures is irresistible even to people from other worlds. Suddenly, 3 beast girls, Ellie, Dees, and Mina, rushed towards the bear cub and said in unison, "This must be delicious." All 3 girls looked at the bear with greedy eyes, their mouths watering. Only Nicole stood outside worrying about the baby bear. Lu Feng placed the baby bear on the table, and in a flash the bear was carried away. Lu Feng didn't even have time to do anything. Those girls only knew how to eat. "Nicole, don't you want to eat it too?" Nicole picked up the bear in her arms and walked away smiling happily, her eyes sparkling as she said to Lu Feng. "So cute, master, can I take care of it?" Lu Feng breathed a sigh of relief when he heard Nicole say that. It seemed that Nicole really liked it. Then from now on, Nicole would take care of it. Nicole smiled happily. "Great, young master, name it." Standing from afar, Mina and Ellie looked at Nicole acting spoiled and hugging the little bear and suddenly felt uncomfortable. The 2 girls also ran over to ask for a hug. "Master, we also want to hug it." The 2 girls jumped in and fought over it, causing the bear to scream in fear. When it was angry or scared, its face was still extremely adorable. Hee. On the wall, 3 guards were looking up at the sky waiting. The sunlight was shining down, forcing all 3 of them to raise their hands to shield their eyes from the glare. From the sky appeared a pure white carrier pigeon, with an envelope tied to one leg. This was how they used carrier pigeons to exchange information from a distance between cities. "Wow, they're back." The 3 of them cheered. The city lord's carrier pigeon was amazing. Before, it took at least 5 days to travel to Beifeng City, but now it only took 1 day to get news from the other side. It could be said that since Lu Feng came along, there was such a wonderful way to exchange information from a distance, saving a lot of manpower and time. The soldier held the dove in one hand and with the other hand opened the envelope and gave it to the guard next to him. The soldier happily replied, "Of course, there is nothing our lord can't do." As he spoke, he opened the envelope and read. Suddenly, the smile on the soldier's lips disappeared, his eyes were panicked, he shouted. "Here. You guys keep watch here, don't run around, I'll go report to the city lord." He panicked and said to the 2 remaining guards, then immediately rushed to meet his city lord. When he got there, he was very surprised. "What?" She said the young master wasn't here. "Yes, the young master said he had to go somewhere for a few days and asked me to take care of Caesar." Nicole answered the guard while holding the little panda and holding the bamboo branch that was Caesar's food. "So what should we do? Without the young master here, the western city will be in danger." The guard said, rubbing his head and turning to leave. I wonder what news he received that made him look so serious. Suddenly, Nyoban rushed in and saw the guard's uneasy expression. "What's wrong? Nyo Wu? Why are you so scared?" The guard called, "Father." He gave the letter to his father, Uncle Nyoban. It was news from Beifeng City. Nyoban opened the envelope and read it out loud. Homa's brother, Baron Adam, had arrived. Nyoban's face was tense, sweat dripping down, his eyes filled with worry and bewilderment. It seemed that the news from Beifeng City was really serious, which was why Uncle Nyoban frowned in worry. In another place, where there are high-rise buildings, modern architecture with shiny glass windows. This is the rental area. In the small room, the Western City Lord's clothes were neatly hung on a hanger. On the table are several instant noodle boxes stacked on top of each other. Carrying a bag on his shoulder, wearing a baseball cap, shirt, jeans, he became an ordinary young man. Lu Feng walked out, thinking to himself. Now it's time to deal with this pile of ginseng. It seemed that Lu Feng had crossed over to Earth, carrying the bag of ginseng he had dug up in the other world the day before, to carry out his plan. The sky was blue with bright sunlight shining down on the bustling tall buildings. At Bak Tao Duong, there was a surprised, bewildered wow from someone. In front of the 100 Herbs Hall, there were 2 long lines waiting for people to come in and see a doctor. The guy wearing the brown hat looked like Satoshi from Pokemon, with a bewildered expression on his face. He couldn't help but be surprised that the 100 Herbs Hall was so crowded. It was worthy of being a pharmacy that had been practicing medicine for 3 generations. It was very famous. At first, a man wearing a doctor's coat appeared in front of Lu Feng. His face was not clearly visible. He put his hand in his coat and stood proudly saying to Lu Feng, Are you here to see a doctor?" Lu Feng was surprised to see the man in a doctor's coat, with parted hair and a beard. He was Dr. Zhang Ji, the owner of Bak Tao Duong. "If so, please line up." Dr. Zhang Ji's expression was as cool as a gangster coming to collect a debt. Lu Feng stood next to the unknown people waiting in line and met Dr. Zhang Ji. His face was as bright as a flower, as if he was about to get gold. "Are you Dr. Zhang Ji?" I heard that your Bok Tao Duong collects wild ginseng. Lu Feng took out a box from his bag that contained an unknown content. Sometimes I thought it might be a grenade for Dr. Zhang Ji. Dr. Zhang Ji, with a thoughtful expression, looked at Lu Feng's box and said hesitantly. Buy it, but our requirements are very strict. Lu Feng handed the box to Dr. Zhang Ji, with a dangerous look on his face as if he was about to do something. In Dr. Zhang Ji's trembling hands was a ginseng root that looked like pickled radish sold in the market. It turns out that Lu Feng uses the same tricks as the multi-level marketing ladies who sell mixed cream on the internet. Short raw ginseng root, deep small stripes, too easy to main branches. His hands were shaking as he held a glowing ginseng root in his hands. Zhang Ji's expression was filled with surprise as he saw a ginseng root that looked like a pickled radish. No, could this be ginseng that was over 150 years old? The doctor immediately grabbed the ginseng root, his face panicked, as he ran and shouted for his old father. Dad, 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 come here and take a look. Lu Feng, who was sitting there, must have been thinking to himself, this old doctor looked like a 3-year-old child, running and shouting for Dad. Behind the curtain, with Zhang Ji's flustered face, was a white-haired doctor with a long beard, his face serious as he said to the doctor, don't shout so loudly, you're over 50 years old and you're not careful at all. The 50-year-old doctor shouted at his father. Dad, no, Dad, look quickly. Zhang Ji's father picked up the ginseng root and looked at the pickled radish again and again. He glared at him as if he wanted to eat the ginseng root in his hand alive. This is natural ginseng over 200 years old, very rare nowadays. Dr. Zhang Ji immediately told his father to calm down. Dad, don't be nervous, take a deep breath. Zhang Ji's face was filled with fear, afraid that his father would suddenly have a heart attack, flopping around like a dried fish. Lu Feng's face was surprised and shocked. He didn't expect this ginseng to be 200 years old. He smiled as if he had found gold, and said thoughtfully. Before coming, he had also compared it online a bit, and thought it would be around 170 years, but it turned out to be more than 200 years. He was truly surprised. Then, the father and son doctors took out the shining 200-year-old ginseng root to check, and the ginseng root weighed 352 grams. Dr. Zhang Ji's father stroked his beard and thoughtfully gave the price of the ginseng root that had a smooth body like pickled radish. He said that according to the auction house's previous prices, this ginseng root was about 3.5 million yuan. Lu Feng's face was as bright as a flower. He immediately seized the opportunity without thinking too much and agreed on the price of the ginseng root at 3.5 million yuan with the father and son doctors. No problem, let's just say it's 3.5 million yuan. The father and son doctors had nothing more to say to Lu Feng, thinking, why did they agree so quickly to such a rare dish? There was nothing strange about these three bewildered faces, it was Lu Feng, along with Dr. Zhang and his father. After negotiating the price of the ginseng, Lu Feng took out 3 more from his bag. He said, but I have 3 more, please check it out. Causing the father and son of Bok Tao Duan Clinic to open their mouths, surprised, speechless and shouting. What? Unexpectedly, this Lu Feng had 3 200-year-old ginseng roots. Zhang Ji shouted again, calming his father down. His father took a deep breath. In front of the doctor and his daughter were 3 200-year-old ginseng roots, contained in 3 shiny wooden boxes, as if containing the riches of a daughter about to get married. The doctor and his son looked stunned and bewildered, not knowing what to say when they saw the 3 ginseng roots before them. The man clenched his fists and looked at the shiny ginseng root in front of him, looking like a human with 2 arms and 3 legs. With a sad expression, he was about to sell the ginseng root to the 2 doctors. Dr. Zhang Ji turned to Lu Feng and said with a panicked expression. This ginseng, are you planning to sell it all? Lu Feng immediately waved his hand, refusing to sell all the ginseng in front of the 2 of them. How could Lu Feng easily sell all 3 ginseng roots to the doctor and his son? He had a plan from the beginning, so how could he easily get these 3 ginseng roots? He wanted to negotiate with the 2 doctors, he said. No, these 3 remaining ginseng roots, I can sell one to you too, the remaining 2 roots I want to negotiate with you too about something. I would like to invite Dr. Zhang to take one of these roots and make medicine for me. For example, a red salvia pill or a heart-saving pill. Hearing Lu Feng's words, the doctor and his son were stunned and bewildered by his words, then hesitated. Well, Zhang Ji's father stroked his beard and thought for a while before replying to Lu Feng. Okay, it's our honor to have a 100-year-old natural ginseng to make medicine. So, what do you want to do with the ginseng? Lu Feng stood in front of Dr. Zhang and his son, carrying his briefcase, preparing to leave the clinic, like Satoshi in the Pokemon story preparing to go to fight in the arena. He said, the remaining tubers, part of them would be considered as payment for the medicine maker, the rest would be. From somewhere around, people said in unison, I want to change some of the medicine from Bok Tao Duong. Dr. Zhang and his son's faces were filled with panic and fear when they heard that sentence from the people lining up nearby to see a doctor. It caused complete psychological trauma and shock to the father and son doctors. Dr. Zhang Ji shouted and said, You know very well that the medicine is the secret, the root of our master's life. With the same cheerful expression, cast from the same mold, 10 people thought to be one person. The author must have had a secret idea when making this story. Lu Feng's face was thoughtful at this moment, knowing for sure that the father and son doctors would agree to buy all the ginseng to cure the disease. Lu Feng thought to himself that, in fact, it was because the cold air over there was about to come. If someone caught a cold, with the medical techniques over there, death would be certain. Seeing the faces of 10 patients looking like one person, Dr. Zhang pondered for a while and then called his 50-year-old son. Go, get some basic medicine. Dr. Zhang Ji opened his mouth wide, as stunned as the morning roosters when he heard his old father agree. He shouted, Dad! This Dr. Zhang Ji, 50 years old, his head looked like some kid, his head was split in two, his face was like a buffalo. He called Dad in panic. Dr. Zhang Ji's eyes were stern and determined, his furrowed brows and the wrinkles on his face made him look like a gangster demanding a debt. Tell his son to leave quickly. Dr. Zhang Ji was so scared that he was helpless and didn't know what to say. He turned around and followed his father's request, saying to himself, What are you thinking, Dad? Even the basic medicines were researched by us with great difficulty. Dr. Zhang Ji probably wanted to tell his father that I've lived to this age, so you've been my father for a long time. The father was also helpless, watching Zhang Ji lifting the curtain to get the simple methods he had requested. With the same face that was neither human nor ghost, I was also scared, and thought to myself. This little boy Zhang Ji, until now he still doesn't understand. Illness changes over time, so why cling to the old and not let go? In the end, one day, he will be eliminated. Old man Zhang Ji wanted to tell his son Zhang Ji that even though he's so old, he's still as stubborn as those young buffaloes with 2 bangs. Raising him is really a waste of food and water. Lu Feng walked out of the clinic, standing in front of the 100 Herbs Hall, holding something in his hand. His face was filled with joy after selling all the ginseng roots like pickled radishes to Dr. Zhang and his father. It turned out that the name in his hand was an ATM card. His face was like a catfish. He brought the card to his mouth. He talked to himself, it seems like he still has the sense to give me 8 million yuan, what should I do next? How about buying a house? After Lu Feng sold the ginseng, he returned to the White Castle that looked like the White House in America. The sunlight shone on the golden flowers, and the clouds drifted aimlessly, not knowing where they were going. In the castle, there were 3 female demons, dressed in fashionable clothes but were actually real wibu, talking to 2 men standing next to a girl whose face you couldn't see. The fox-like witch said, Uncle Nyoban, what did you call us here for? Ellie's face was haughty and annoyed as if someone had eaten all her things when Uncle Nyoban called her. Standing next to Uncle Nyoban was a man in military uniform, with squinted eyes and a pale face like a gay man who had 10 kilos of cream on him. Uncle Nyoban, with a handsome and cool face like a military captain, said to the 3 demonesses. Just received news from Beifeng City, Homa's brother, Baron Adam, has arrived. Ellie's face was indifferent when she heard Uncle Nyoban finished speaking. So what? Let's beat him up so he runs away. Standing in front of Ellie was purple-haired Dees, who had 2 buffalo horns or was cuckolded by some lover. Her face was full of malice as she said. Great, we get to fight again. Standing between Ellie and Dees who was being cheated on by her lover was Mina the black cat wearing a genuine wibu outfit. But it looked like Ari in a maid outfit. I must have asked Riot to make this outfit because it was so well done. The black cat said to the people standing nearby. With me here, no one will be able to touch a single hair of the master. Act like your boss is so precious, so handsome, and even worse than my cat, yet you can't touch a single hair of him. And then you say this and that. Uncle Nyoban said with a look of concern at the girl's belligerence. The most important thing is. Along with the 2 fearful faces of the gay man and the pretty girl Nicole, who was holding a stuffed panda in her arms. The young master said that he had to leave for a while, and would be back in a few days. The 3 demonesses heard this, their faces filled with panic, worry, and fear as they shouted at the 3 people standing in front of them. What did she say? The young master isn't here. The 3 of them were so surprised that they froze, gesticulating and exaggerating when they heard that the young master wasn't here. The young master isn't here, how could that be? Unlike the 4 people standing nearby, helplessly watching the 3 girls' ridiculous antics, thinking. Indeed. Uncle Nyoban stood with his arms crossed, looking very cool in the style of a military captain, and said to the citizens standing nearby. Also, the news sent by Beifeng City said that Baron Adam was very good at gathering intelligence. He sent a spy disguised as a commoner to infiltrate the city. Mina and Ellie were petrified after hearing that, with big question marks above their heads, they stopped waving their hands and feet, and struggled. Their faces were as blank as dead fish or newly molded statues that had not been colored yet. Shouted loudly. Ah, that means maybe we have one of his spies infiltrating the western city. What if they find out that the young master is not here? These 2 girls are talking crazy. No, we can't sit here and wait to die. Hurry, put the whole city under curfew, do our best to find the suspicious person. Below the gate of the western city were several white commas whose faces were unclear. In front of the gate were also several commas holding arrows. Then from somewhere, a very loud sound of a door closing. It turned out that the commas standing right at the city gate holding arrows were the gatekeepers. One of them had a bald head and shouted to the people standing nearby. Today the city gate of Taeduong is closed, no one is allowed to enter, everyone go home. Many people standing nearby whispered, I must need to enter your city, I must need it very much. The people began to talk excitedly, standing behind the commas, 10 people as one, someone said. What happened? I have to go into town to sell things. There was a woman with 2 buns and braids, she said. My baby is still in there. The guy with 2 bangs, eyes like 2 peppercorns, face like rice paper, mouth like a lahan fish, shouted loudly. I came to get a wife, don't stop me, he shouted. The people nearby must have thought to themselves, this guy is as ugly as a ghost, hair like a gangster, mouth like a lahan fish, who would dare to marry him? The bald man with the tree on his head thought the same thing and said to the purple-haired man, you coming is the same as not coming, go home. From the Tai Tu Lao listening room, a girl's scream came running up. Everyone listen carefully, there might be a spy infiltrating Taeduong City, everyone must be 200% alert for me. If you hear any relevant information, report it immediately. It turns out that the shrill, panicked scream came from the fox girl Ellie, running upstairs to eavesdrop. The green and red-haired guys also followed Ellie's orders and ran away. On the main road of Taeduong City, several black commas stood on both sides of the road to see what was hot and there was a huge crowd running like they were in a marathon. The girl with the buffalo horns said to the bald guy behind and some sheep-like guy running along, followed by some faceless commas running behind. Today is not like usual, everyone look closely. If you find anyone suspicious, beat them up first before you talk. The sheep, wearing an FBI uniform, with a helpless expression, ran with Dees, thinking that she was about to faint. Wasn't this what she usually said? The people with strange hair buns were standing on the roadside, scared and wondering what was happening, saying, what's going on? I heard the city gates are closed. It can't be something big has happened. Another guy wearing an FBI uniform, as cool as Uncle Nyobo, said to the people standing on the side of the road, I don't know, I heard all the guards have been mobilized. Surrounded by castles and bustling houses, he suddenly flew out of nowhere and landed gently on the ground. Then he raised something into the air as if to signal something. Area 1 was fine. Then a powerful sound was heard. At this time, the whole city of Taeduong was filled with blue smoke. Mina the black cat stood from above looking down on the city, saying, Area 1, 2, 3, eliminate. Then followed the surprised look of Mina the black cat. When he saw red smoke rising from the corner of the western wall. Mina immediately rushed there in a flash. In an old house waiting to be demolished in the southeast corner of Taeduong City, the house is as old as an ancient toilet. Mina and 2 guards said, you must be him. With her were 2 subordinates, one with a scar on his face, hair covering his eyes, hitting him like the one in the Conan story, and a green-haired guy said to Mina. Yes. Then, the green-haired man recalled, at the Western Commercial Market. There are 3 white commas in front of a black guy who makes me think of the black guy who was about to kill the victim in Conan's story, his face is full of danger. The green-haired man said that he secretly went to ask around in many places. At the guard station, there were 4 white commas in front of the door that looked like ghosts. The black man was secretly standing in front of the guard station. He walked into the guard station, eavesdropped on the conversation of old lady Mary talking to 2 rabbits, then he smiled smugly, slyly, his eyes like 2 peppercorns before being ground. The green-haired man continued. Moreover, most importantly, he also inquired about the city lord's whereabouts everywhere. At this moment, the black cat Nina's eyes were sharp, her expression serious, and she coldly replied to her 2 subordinates. So it must be him. Ellie and Dees ran over with the guards from earlier. Ellie called Mina the black cat, Mina. Mina stood still. When she saw Ellie and Dees along with the guards arriving at the right time, she said, just in time, let's go, we'll go there together. The black man suddenly heard a noise coming, he panicked when he heard someone coming. Then Mina, the warrior woman, kicked the door really hard, to rush in and arrest the black man, she shouted. Hands up, you treacherous and cunning secret agent. I thought Mina was the FBI opening the door and rushing in to arrest some terrorist. So the black guy was an old man, his face was panicked, not knowing what was happening, he raised his hands to block Mina's next attack. He was like, save me, save my sister. Huh? What's going on? A long time later, the old man who was tied up still didn't know what was happening. He was surrounded by 3 female demons and guards, unable to move to escape, and shouted. What spy? The 3 witches were angry and shouted at the old man. He still dared to make excuses. He was not a spy, so why was he sneaking around? Why go and listen to the news of the city lord? Why wander around? The old man was scolded by the 3 demonesses as if he had been splashed with 3 buckets of cold water, making his face turn pale. He was extremely scared and thought to himself, "Ha? Can't you wander around too?" Then the old man cried, begged, and prayed to the three crazy women, talking nonsense. "What are you guys talking about? An old man like me only wants to settle down in Taeduong City. If I want to live and take care of myself, then of course I have to clearly investigate the situation in the various places in Taeduong City. Moreover, the reason I am looking for the city lord is because I just wanted to ask the city lord if I could be a guard at the orphanage." The old man's expression as he explained to the three demonesses looked like a shy young girl who had just confessed her love to her lover, who had just been touched by love in the morning dew and evening dew. After hearing the old man's shy words, they stood still, their minds in shock, and the expressions on the three girls' faces were beyond words. These girls had blank faces and silly smiles like chickens. Then the cool FBI guard suddenly remembered. "I remembered, he was one of the two bounty hunters who entered the city earlier, and then he liked Mrs. Mary at the orphanage." Mina and Dees were speechless, standing with their faces turned away, glaring at the cool guard, as if they wanted to eat him alive. Then the old man, once again like a young girl, shyly and hesitantly said, "I discovered that this western city is a very good place, the environment is beautiful, the sanitation is clean, the traffic is convenient, shopping is easy, and the security is very good. Surely she and I will have a life full of happiness. You act like this western city is a very safe place, and shopping is easy, do you think in this day and age? And having shippers or something makes it easy, convenient transportation like having traffic lights and stuff, and that's how happy you are." Ellie, like a little tin soldier, began to speak, his nose growing 8 feet long, and said to the old man, "Humph, it goes without saying that under the leadership of our young master, the western city will become more and more beautiful." The old man suddenly burst out laughing, leaving the people around him dumbfounded. "Ha ha ha, of course the city lord is great, but the fact that 11 Yang City is this good doesn't depend on him alone. Of course his wise leadership is important, but the prudence of every single person in this city is also important. Farmers need labor, merchants trade equally, and there are guards who maintain the interests of the people. Everyone works together to make this city better and better. Of all the places I have been to, this is the most different from the others." Suddenly a voice appeared from somewhere. He was very right. The people were surprised to see Uncle Nyoban, so they stood aside to let him enter. He said to everyone standing there, "The thing is, we're so used to relying on the master that we panicked as soon as we heard bad news." Uncle Nyoban raised his hand and shouted confidently, "Of course, since the young master is not here, we must become his strong support, right? Let us work together to protect Xiang City well and wait for the young master to return." The three demonesses all agreed with the old man and Uncle Nyoban's opinion, their faces turned towards the sun as the sunlight shone on these fiery souls. After dealing with the old man, the four of them left the old house that looked like a toilet. Mina said, "I'll take the wolf warriors to inquire about the news." Ellie said happily, "I'll go prepare some things for logistics." Dees also followed the other two back, "I will increase patrols in the city." Uncle Nyoban, with a rather satisfied expression, also returned with the three demonesses. "I will go and reinforce the army." From inside the old house came the screams of the old man who was left in the toilet. "Hey, but you guys have to untie me first." At the high-speed train station, the conductor's voice was coming from the loudspeaker. "Hello, tourists. Train number G8888 from XXX to XXX had begun checking tickets. On the tracks was the shiny white-blue CJH Mu high-speed train, preparing to depart." Lu Feng had already boarded the train and sat down, but his expression was still deep in thought. Thinking back, it was quite miraculous. Even though he was on Earth now, he was at most just a fairly wealthy ordinary person. In the other world, I was already a noble, ruling over a region, with a territory and a castle. There was also Nicole, who could easily understand others, and those noisy and bustling beast girls. Suddenly, Lu Feng's train of thought was interrupted by a girl's voice. He turned his head, and the girl who had just greeted Lu Feng was sitting across from him. "Hello." The girl continued to speak. It seemed that when she greeted Lu Feng at first, he didn't hear her clearly, so he didn't answer. Lu Feng looked up at the girl. She had blue pea flower purple eyes, brown hair that fell down to her chest. She looked quite gentle. The girl introduced herself, "I'm Jia. Just now when I got on the train, I saw you were still in a daze, so I called out to you." Only then did Lu Feng hesitantly greet back. "Hello." But Lu Feng seemed to be lost in thought, so he just greeted him and turned back to the window, continuing his train of thought. As for the girl, she had a good feeling about Lu Feng the first time she met him. Therefore, she really wanted to talk to him. The girl thought to herself, his temperament is very good, unlike others. It's just a pity that he has no interest in her. And the person she doesn't like keeps clinging to her. Oh, the girl was thinking when a friend came and sat next to her. The girl with short black hair came and sat next to the blonde girl and spoke. Judja, I heard that your hometown has a lot of bamboo shoots that can be dug up, right? I really like eating bamboo shoots. The blonde girl happily smiled and narrowed her eyes. This time it's Grandpa's birthday, you can eat as much as you want. Sitting next to Lu Feng was another girl. The girl was wearing a light blue short shirt and was also the brown-haired girl's friend. Hearing that they could eat bamboo shoots to their heart's content, both girls cheered happily. How wonderful. Getting off the high-speed train, Lu Feng went to the real estate trading center. It was a spacious building with lots of glass, looking very luxurious. Lu Feng walked inside and was enthusiastically advised by the center's staff. He looked through the necessary information in the center's brochure to choose the house of his choice. Finally found a house he liked. Lu Feng immediately signed the real estate purchase contract. So from now on, he has his own house and doesn't have to rent one anymore. Lu Feng shook hands with the real estate agency representative and successfully signed the contract. With the amount of money Lu Feng had, he could buy dozens of houses. Now that he had bought the house, he could go buy a car. Lu Feng went to store number 45. There were a lot of cars inside. He was standing next to a luxurious red car and listening to the sales consultant. After finalizing the car purchase and deciding to get the red car, Lu Feng immediately got in the car and drove away, not forgetting to wave goodbye to the sales consultant. Lu Feng drove through the long, shiny roads, enjoying the scenery. Steep cliffs, winding roads around the foot of the mountains, winding passes, drooping treetops swaying in the wind. The scenery is extremely poetic and lyrical. I think the atmosphere here is very good. When he arrived, the scene before his eyes felt very peaceful. The white-painted houses, with red accents, were close together, and the surrounding space was very airy. Lu Feng was very satisfied. He thought to himself. Such a small village, if it wasn't in a small county town, but in a big city, would have long been eyed by several real estate development research institutions. He got out of the car and stopped in front of a house with a bright red flower trellis. It was so big, no wonder the owner wanted to sell it for 800,000 yuan. He stepped inside. The surrounding space had many trees, making the air cool. Entering the house, he stopped at the living room. The living room was quite spacious, modernly designed, the sofa and shelves were still very new. Lu Feng sat down and tried pressing the TV remote. After visiting the living room, he moved to the kitchen. Wow, how convenient is the new kitchen? Lu Feng looked around the room. Finally, let's go back to the bedroom. The bedroom was quiet and well furnished. Lu Feng sat down on the bed, took off his shoes, and lay down on the bed comfortably. He put his hands on his forehead, thinking. I heard that the owner of the house loved alcohol as much as his life, and there was a wine cellar in the house. This time I'm selling the house because I drank too much alcohol and got an acute stomach disease, so I need the money. It's just right, I'll fix this place up, so that I can use it as a place to travel through time in the future. This will be my secret base from now on. Lu Feng thought to himself. Let's go out and take a look. Lu Feng sat up and walked outside to look around. He walked along the small path outside the house. The scenery here was beautiful. Along the road were 2 rows of shady green trees. Lu Feng walked slowly, admiring the scenery, and suddenly saw the figure of a familiar girl. Stopping, it was indeed the girl with eyes the color of blue peas. The girl was wearing a long, brown-yellow polka-dot dress. She was also walking around. Lu Feng realized, wasn't that the girl he met on the high-speed train? The girl also recognized Lu Feng. She spoke first. You live here too? Yes, I just moved here today. Lu Feng replied, a little embarrassed. The girl continued. The thing is, my grandfather and I used to live in this area. Today is his birthday, so I came back to visit him. Lu Feng smiled, thinking to himself. Now it seems that this girl is quite cute. The thing is. The girl hesitated. Can we be WeChat friends? The girl gathered all her courage. She shyly held the phone in front of Lu Feng and said. Before Lu Feng could reply, a loud voice called out. Judja, let's eat. The girl shyly put her phone away. Judja's aunt walked out. A plump middle-aged woman called out as she walked. Judja, is this handsome guy the one you're after? Suddenly seeing Lu Feng, the aunt asked. She waved her hand to indicate that it was okay for the two of you to talk freely. The girl with blue pea flower eyes quickly said. Auntie, don't talk nonsense. But the aunt was already talking non-stop. Young man, where are you from? How old are you this year? Do you have a girlfriend? Have you bought a house? What do you do for a living? Do you work with Judja in a state-owned company? Hearing Judja's aunt's question, Lu Feng didn't have time to answer. A moment later, after waiting for the old lady to finish asking, Lu Feng smiled and replied. Me. I'm a writer, writing novels online. Lu Feng's answer was probably not as expected. The girl's aunt widened her eyes in surprise and exclaimed. What? Isn't that just like Xiang from the next village? Sitting at home all day. They say writing novels can make money. Staying up late at night can make you 34,000 yuan a month. The girl's aunt said sarcastically. Jia could only keep silent when she heard what her aunt said, her eyes sad. Hurry up, your grandfather's birthday party is about to start. Jia, stay away from him. Writing novels has no future. What's with drawing comics? You don't communicate with people at all. Your conditions are so good, don't look for someone like that as a boyfriend. The aunt said as she pulled her niece's hand. Lu Feng could only silently watch them leave. He smirked. I can't tell anyone that my family has ginseng that is priceless. There is also a bank card with several million yuan. Is it a noble family that has a territory in another world? He looked up at the clear blue sky. He thought to himself. But that was enough. If he was not mistaken, these people were probably his future neighbors. In the future, even if he did not leave his house for a whole day or several days, these neighbors would only think that he was writing a novel. The risk of being exposed was completely resolved. Suddenly, he missed Mina and the others a little. The scenery was poetic. The blue sky and the sound of the wind blowing through the leaves made Lu Feng's worries go away. He missed the other world again. At the castle of the Lord of Xiang City. Under the clear blue sky. The castle appeared sparkling under the golden sunlight. Every step is walking. Lu Feng happily returned to the castle. His face was filled with joy and he thought to himself. Right now, it was probably time for dinner. He pushed the door open and walked out. But it wasn't like he had imagined. It wasn't like usual. The tables and chairs were empty. There wasn't a soul in sight. Where had everyone gone? What was going on? Lu Feng exclaimed. Suddenly, Lu Feng felt something. He looked down. It turned out to be a little panda hugging its master's leg. Its innocent expression was extremely adorable. Lu Feng picked up the bear and patted the little bear on the head. It's you, Caesar. Tell me where everyone went. Young master, you're finally back. Lu Feng looked up at Nicole. The girl cried out when she saw that her dream lover had returned. She rushed over. He hugged Lu Feng. His face was filled with happiness. Lu Feng also smiled. He asked. What's wrong? Did you miss me that much? Asked bluntly. Nicole quickly stepped back. Waving her hands. Her cheeks flushed with embarrassment. No, I mean. The girl stuttered, not knowing what to say. Lu Feng had no choice but to speak. Where are the others? Isn't it dinner time? Nicole suddenly remembered something serious. She replied to Lu Feng with a dangerous expression. That's right. It was Adam, Homa's brother, who came to attack our Xiang city. But don't worry, master. Everyone has gone to prepare a response. Her voice was determined. Remembering the declaration she made with Ellie, Mina, Dees, Uncle Nyoban and the entire wolf army, Nicole spoke with courage. We said it. Even if the young master isn't here, we must protect the western city. Moreover, now that the young master is back, we are not afraid. Having said that, Nicole happily hugged Lu Feng again. Afraid that he would leave again. It seems that in the 2 days he was away, many things had happened. He gave a thumbs up. Tell Nicole. Don't worry. Just be here. Make sure Adam and the others don't come back. Nicole nodded excitedly. Yeah. Lu Feng gently placed his hand on Nicole's back. The two of them walked together. He said, let's go. Call everyone here. No matter how busy you are, you still have to eat. Lu Feng's words were sweet as sugar to the girl Nicole. She obediently followed his orders. Yes. Then she ran away while Lu Feng's eyes followed her. He thought. Indeed. This is where I truly belong. In a cold, gloomy place. The Forbidden Mountains. The cold wind blew through the snow-covered mountains. The dry branches are close together. Looking as skinny as dry bones sticking out in the blowing snow. The small village lies at the foot of the mountain. The roofs and paths are covered with white snow. There is not a soul outside. Only the guards. Heads covered. On guard duty. Walking back and forth in front of the village gate. Crack. Suddenly there was the sound of a tree branch breaking due to someone stepping on it. Stop. Who are you? The guard cried out. His hand was already on his sword, ready to attack. Before him appeared a female warrior wearing a thick fur coat. Her pointed ears had white tufts. Her hair was short and her eyes were platinum. She had a large sword slung over her shoulder and there were still bloodstains on her body. Looking up, she replied coldly to the guard. Go tell your leader. Tell him that the wolfkin Avery is here. Hearing about the Avery Beastman, the guards jumped up with joy. It seemed like they had finally met their idol. Their faces were filled with joy. Huh, it's Ms. Avery. It's Ms. Avery. Please wait a moment. Ms. Avery, this way please. Having said that, the soldier led the wolfkin beast girl inside. The soldiers outside were still whispering. Wow, the killing intent was so fierce. I didn't even dare to talk. Lucky for you, you even dared to block Miss Avery. So scary. Didn't I realize it at the time? Miss Avery's body must be covered in blood. That's right. I wonder how many people Miss Avery has killed this time. Those traitorous slaves must be really unlucky to encounter her. I wonder if Miss Avery is with the leader. With her here, our chances of success are definitely high. They stood outside in the snow and rain, talking, forgetting the cold that the Ice Queen was raging. The door was pushed open, and the wolfkin Avery walked in. The famous beast warrior was greeted by a sword fight between a green-haired girl and the wolf girl Avery. The green-haired girl didn't say a word, suddenly jumped down from above, slashing her two swords towards the wolf girl like lightning. Quick as lightning, the wolfkin beast girl jumped high, avoiding the green-haired girl's sword strike. Seeing that, the girl also stomped her feet and jumped up to the same height as the girl Avery, the two of them preparing to draw their swords to compete. The two of them finally charged at each other, the swords in the girl's hands clashing together, emitting light like lightning. The girl with blue hair spoke up now, she said, revealing her snake-like tongue. Good. Again. Avery was silent, agreeing. Then outside only the sound of swords clashing could be heard. After a while, the contestants were exhausted. The two girls stabbed their swords into the house. The girl with blue hair said, "That's great," she was Bella, the leader of the beast tribe. She dusted her hands and spoke to Avery, the wolf girl. Avery, indeed, only you can fight me on equal footing. So is Bella. She's still as energetic as ever. Avery replied. The blue-haired girl sat on the armchair, looking at Avery who was washing his hands, and said. It seemed like she had no results this time. Avery pulled the wet towel over her arm. She remained silent and did not answer Bella's question. After a while, the wolf girl raised her head and asked a question that changed the subject. Miss Bella, I heard you guys are about to leave. Yes, Avery, this might be your last time resting here. How about it, do you want to come with us? The blue-haired girl Bella excitedly punched the table with her fist. Avery stood up straight and asked. She really wanted to carry out Plan A. Bella raised her hand to her mouth, her expression looking troubled. Of course, as long as she stood firm in that chaotic place, everything would have hope. Let me break it down for everyone to understand. The eastern part of the Yukam mountain range was divided into three large countries, the Yinglu Kingdom, the Yadian Kingdom, and the Mancha Kingdom. But eventually, after a Mancha king ascended the throne, a rebellion broke out. After a period of war, the country was divided into three territories. The Mulan territory, the Manor territory, and the Chama territory. The three territories constantly waged war in order to annex each other, bringing about chaos. People called it the Land of Chaos. With only a few beastmen from her camp coming to that land, how could they compete with human knights? Avery said, wringing the towel dry with both hands. How can you know unless you try? Bella replied. Her hands were twisting her magical green hair. Those territories are rebelling, this is our chance. If we can capture just one territory, Brutus the Beastman will have a chance to start over. Moreover, even if we fail, the green-haired girl let her sentence hang, she burst out laughing. The smile just ended, she looked at Avery with a scrutinizing gaze and asked. And she? Avery, are you determined to find that girl with normal breasts? She must have done it early. Although she didn't finish her sentence, Bella deliberately said it with a teasing tone, making Avery angry. Bella, eyes blazing, Avery was filled with murderous intent as he swung his sword towards Bella, speaking in a warning tone. I didn't expect her to continue. Avery's eyes were icy with anger, staring at Bella, hoping she wouldn't continue. Seeing Avery so angry, the blue-haired girl Bella had no choice but to smile. Okay, that's true. How long does she have to shoulder the responsibility of a werewolf knight? As she spoke, Bella used her finger to push Avery's sword aside. The wolf knight placed his sword on the ground and said proudly. My sword exists to protect Her Majesty the Princess. Bella shrugged. Whatever. Where's Dees? Why can't I see her? Did you hit her again? Avery changed the subject. I don't have time for that. She chose the life she wanted. The blue-haired girl Bella sighed. What? Avery asked again. Anyway, don't worry. The silly girl is doing well now. But there is a fly that wants to disturb everything here. Bella said. Her eyes flashed with the cold, deadly coldness of a predator. The sound of horse hooves stopped on the snow-covered road. Adam's army marched slowly through the cold, desolate mountains. Adam waved his hand and ordered. Stop. How long will it take to reach the western city? If we march all night, we will arrive early tomorrow morning. A knight answered. Adam stared out into the cold, dark space, the snowflakes falling, clinging to his blonde hair. He hesitated. This weather. After calculating, he gave the order. The knights obeyed and found a suitable place to set up camp. They would set off early tomorrow morning. Yes, the soldiers shouted. In the middle of the wild, cold mountains, the howling of wolves was so miserable that it made one's hair stand on end. Adam's army set up camp, lit a fire, and camped for the night. Sitting in the camp, one of Adam's subordinate soldiers told him. Fortunately, the Baron ordered a break. Here, near the Yukam mountain range, marching at night, if lost, encounter wild animals. He said that and then fell silent. Baron Adam held a cup of hot tea in his hand. He smiled gently and replied. It's the right thing to do. Everyone has family waiting for them. We can't sacrifice ourselves so carelessly. He made it sound like he was a very responsible person, hoping to please the soldiers. In fact, he was thinking this in his heart. You are my father's elite knights. Compared to Homa's knights, you can take on 3 of them one-on-one. Such a good tool, of course, cannot be wasted. It's true that compared to him, Homa is vicious but also much more straightforward. Raising his arm to his chest in a gesture, the knight that Adam brought with him appeared authoritative. The Baron had thought of us that way. We will do our best. Then it's all up to everyone. We must kill Lu Feng, the lord of Xiang City. We must avenge my brother Homa. Baron Adam said in a fake voice. Understood, the soldier obeyed. Adam smiled slyly. Homa, thank you for giving me such a good opportunity. I can attack Xiang City with a legitimate name. As long as Lu Feng dies, the commercial district, the drunken tower, the factories, the mines, everything in Xiang City will belong to me. With these things, I can help the 4th prince ascend to the throne. By then, let alone being a count, becoming a duke would not be a problem. Even his father would have to serve under him. That seemed to be all Adam had in mind. He had just borrowed Count Puli's elite army, and had a legitimate reason to invade the western city. What a cunning and deceitful person. In the middle of the night in Taeduong Citadel, the bright moonlight lit up the fighting spirit of the people who were devoted to the citadel. Young master, they have arrived. They are now stopping east of Xiang City, about half a day's journey away from us. A soldier informed Lu Feng. He looked at everyone and asked. Is everyone ready? Looking at everyone with determined eyes, confident demeanor, all like guns loaded, ready to fight. Good. Lu Feng commented. The guy gave the order. We're leaving at night. Before they reach the western city, we have to catch them off guard. Everyone shouted in unison. Understood. Back to the wild mountains where Adam's army was stationed. The knight that Adam brought along was preparing to sleep. Suddenly he noticed something unusual. He thought to himself. This is bad. The wild animal's cries had disappeared. He stepped outside. Right at his feet someone had been killed. The soldier spotted him. He shouted. There was an ambush in the night, preparing for battle. The torch was lit. At this moment, Adam, who was sleeping in the camp, woke up. What? He opened the door and stepped out. What happened? Before his eyes was a scene he had never seen before. 2 beastman warrior knight girls holding swords in their hands and other beastmen too. Kill them all. The green-haired snake girl ordered. Her eyes were extremely sharp. The sounds of human and horse footsteps echoed in the valley. In the middle of the snow-covered mountain pass, Lu Feng's army was as numerous as ants, spreading out across the paths. The group was faintly visible under the flickering torches, illuminating a corner of the sky. Leading the cavalry was the lord of Xiang City, Lu Feng, the cat warrior Mina, the Tauran warrior Dis, as well as Nioben and his subordinate Xia. The cavalry behind them stretched across the canyon, torches blazing wherever they went. Young master, it's here. A cavalryman spoke. Lu Feng immediately replied, he had already developed a plan in his mind that suited the terrain here. Very good. Here, both sides have high terrain and the path is narrow. If Adam's men and horses want to pass, they have to spread out their ranks and cannot gather together. At that time, we just need to attack and kill them from above from both sides. Gravity combined with the speed of falling will make the opponent unable to resist. Hearing Lu Feng say this, our cat girl Mina and Taoran girl Dee suddenly became confused. They didn't understand what gravity plus speed was, what falling was like. The two girls listened like ducks listening to thunder. Poor girls, they probably didn't learn physics. Lu Feng said again, this is the road to take when going from the east to Xi'an City. Let's lie in ambush here, we must capture all of Adam's people. The aura emanating from the young leader Lu Feng made the entire army full of enthusiasm, wanting to quickly quell the rebellion. Everyone shouted in unison. Understood, the army continued to slowly march through the night. Suddenly Mina's cat ears moved, hearing a strange noise. Listening for a moment, Mina exclaimed. Everyone was on guard. Could it be that Adam's cavalry arrived first? The cat girl thought to herself. Mina immediately urged her horse forward. She shouted, sink. The wolf warrior knight raised his bow and aimed, ready to fire. Yes. The arrow flew down, embedded in the ground, right in front of the stranger's feet. Too frightened, he quickly retreated backwards. Hands flailing, mouth screaming. Ah, don't kill me, I just came to deliver news. At this moment, the Taoran girl Dee recognized an acquaintance. The girl exclaimed, looking surprised. Ha? Marzi, why are you here? Lu Feng raised his eyes and turned to look at Dee, a little surprised. The messenger boy was from the beast tribe, coming to deliver news, but was almost shot dead because he was mistaken for an enemy soldier. Letter to the master, Dee asked again. Yes, Miss Bella told me to personally deliver this letter to the city lord. Marzi politely presented the letter to Lu Feng with both hands. The city lord of Xi'an City let out an O sound. The letter read. I am Bella, the eldest sister of that idiot Dee. I am the leader of the beast camp. I heard that you have adjusted the western wall to a good condition, and have received the love and respect of humans and beastmen. Congratulations. I know that Dee is by your side now, so please help me take care of it. Of course, I will always keep an eye on the western wall. Lu Feng read Bella's letter attentively. It sounded both humorous and warning to the reader. Lu Feng also realized this. He thought to himself. Ha ha. As expected of Dee's eldest sister, it looked like a congratulation but was actually a threat. But Dee's sister was really thoughtful. She wrote in the letter. Of course, that silly girl is very simple. If you two accidentally want to get married in the future, remember to invite me to drink to celebrate. Reading up to here, Lu Feng's face turned red as if he was on fire, unable to speak. Dee stood beside him, seeing her master reading the letter made him feel very nervous. She curiously leaned over and asked. What exactly did she write? After reading the words her sister intended to entrust to Lu Feng, she burst out laughing. Ha ha ha. This silly, nosy sister. The beast girl even conveniently snatched and tore the letter. This girl is really. Oh dear, sisters are really different, hot-tempered as ice. Not only that, she also interrogated the Marzi who brought the letter. Tell me quickly. Why did you send the letter now? He obediently told Dee. Miss Bella took everyone to the chaotic land. This was considered a farewell. That's right, Miss Bella also said that before leaving, she would help everyone clean up the nobles. Speaking of this, Lu Feng immediately thought of Adam's nobles. He quickly said. Nobles? Could it be that she went to kill Adam? Dee walked beside Lu Feng and thought for a moment before suddenly whipping her horse and galloping away. Go! Lu Feng was surprised and only had time to call out. Ha! Dee. She really did whatever she wanted. She didn't discuss anything with anyone. In the darkness, under the dim moonlight, a fierce battle was taking place. There were miserable groans of pain. Some people only had time to let out an ah before logging out. One by one, under the deadly blade of the green-haired camp leader Bella. Just one stab, one to the neck, one to the shoulder, one to the chest, one to the heart. It was really unlucky for the army to encounter these girls. Not just Bella, the scythe of death named Wolf Knight Avery too. Meeting this girl, I just want to quickly log out of the other world to reincarnate back to Earth soon. They are truly a nightmare. The captain of the knights that Adam brought along had pinkish brown hair and thick lips like a scavenger fish and was extremely bewildered as he watched his army being bombarded. He furrowed his thick eyebrows and gritted his teeth at the sight of the beastmen fighting with such incredible strength. His cavalry was dying in large numbers, causing the remaining men to be terrified and not dare to charge forward. Faced with that situation, he had no choice but to shout loudly. Don't be afraid, everyone charged together. There are not as many of them as we do. The purple-haired and black-haired soldiers hesitated. Encouraged by the thick-lipped man, they both rushed forward, aiming at a big fat pig man. Suddenly, from afar, seeing his friend in danger, the bear man jumped in to help. The bear man's sword swept across the purple-haired and black-haired soldiers' swords, sparks flying. I came to his aid. The pig man laughed smugly. He, just in time. Baron Adam saw the beastmen fighting so fiercely and felt worried. He thought, these beastmen said they were a mountain camp, but they were more like a trained cavalry army. Then he suddenly thought, the mobilization of the beast army was Lu Feng's doing to avoid being implicated. Ah, fine. Just let the beastmen do it. If there's an investigation, just blame it on the beastmen and pretend you don't know anything. He thought angrily, his teeth clenched together. Then he was suffocated and shouted loudly. Stop it, are you all Lu Feng's men? At his shout, the sound of fighting suddenly stopped. The battle paused for a few minutes. The beastmen did not understand what he was saying. Then leader Bella stepped forward. She laughed. What did you say? We are Lu Feng's people? Ha ha ha. Baron Adam stubbornly said again. Stop pretending, your fighting style is not like that of ordinary beastmen. How about it, as long as you join me, I will give you 10 times the benefits of Lu Feng. Adam deliberately tried to entice. He spoke so sweetly, as if using money to oppress people was not enough. But not everyone could be bribed with money or benefits. Bella laughed until tears came to her eyes as she listened to his words. It was so funny. Ha 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 ha. Your vision is so bad, we are not Lu Feng's people. But your eyes are good, we are not normal beastmen. We are, the Knights of the Beast Kingdom Brutus. The girl said, her eyes filled with determination, implicitly affirming the position of the tribe she led. The blue-haired girl Bella spoke in a steely voice, affirming the existence and power of her tribe. At this moment, Baron Adam opened his eyes and asked. Knight of the Beast Kingdom Brutus. It was unclear whether he was too surprised or too scared, but his face was blank and pale. He quickly turned back to his knights and shouted loudly. Retreat quickly. But just turned around, before running, a sword rushed towards. The sound of the sword tearing through the air. Bella's sword pierced the nobleman. He fell to his knees, unable to speak. Perhaps he died with his eyes open. Lord Adam. His knights cried out. They turned and surrounded him. Sir Adam. Dead. Dead. The knights looked at each other in confirmation. From behind, the leader of the Bella Beast tribe shouted loudly. Kill. The beastmen immediately charged again. Ah. The screams and cries gradually disappeared. The space returned to its original silence. Now, before Bella and the beastmen army. A white snow area was covered in red blood. Dead bodies were lying everywhere. Piled on top of each other. All were destroyed. Wolf Knight Avery said to Bella. For Dees, not afraid of danger. But attacked and killed a human elite knight camp. The sisterly love between the two is truly deep. Ha ha. Consider it a training session before the real battle. Moreover, this will let Lu Feng see my true strength. So that he won't dare bully Dees in the future. The leader of the beastmen camp replied. Her purpose must not stop here. The platinum-haired girl Avery continued to ask. It seemed like she understood Bella very well. Bella was caught and burst out laughing. Ha ha ha. As expected of Avery. She spoke up to explain. Didn't you say that we wouldn't have a chance if we went to a land of chaos? But what if there were more human gear and steeds here, Bella said. Looking up at Avery. Her eyes were meaningful. That was calculated. How clever. She sure does resemble the Duke, Avery compared. Mentioning the Duke, Bella's eyes flashed. She remembered the man with long black hair. On his head were 2 sharp horns. She glanced. Her voice lowered. She spoke with an unhappy attitude. Don't mention that man in front of me. It was unclear whether Bella and the Duke that Avery mentioned had any grudge or deep hatred for each other, but Bella's attitude was so tense. But Avery spoke. The Duke was a hero to his country. Bella kept walking. Not looking back. Talking as she walked. What kind of hero is she when she's dead? The story hit a dead end. Avery didn't say anything more. She just thought to herself. Her mouth said so. But she didn't. The land was in chaos. Danger was unpredictable. She knew it in her heart. But she still went. In the end, it was still because of that belief in her heart. The sound of horses' hooves galloping on the road. The sound of whipping horses rang out. Dees urged his horse to gallop as he walked. Lu Feng also galloped after him. Dees, slow down. I'll wait for you. Dees called as she walked. Her eyes lit up when she saw the tents ahead. She must have thought her sister was stopping there. The girl dismounted and rushed forward. She looked around, but all around her were cold corpses and empty huts. There was not a single sign of the beastmen of the camp. Even the human knight's equipment and warhorses had been taken away. The beast girl Dees stood stunned under the cold snow. She was gone. Lu Feng was now behind her. He spoke softly. Dees. Dees didn't turn around. The girl stood there, her voice deep in thought. Ever since leaving the Beast Kingdom, I've been dragging her along. I'm both gluttonous and playful. There were several times when I was tricked and sold into slavery, and it was you who saved me. Tears rolled down the young girl's cheeks. Normally she was so loud, strong, brave, and spirited when going into battle like a man, but now she was a crybaby, a winner like a child. The girl's voice trembled. Why did she ignore me this time? Did she think I was annoying and no longer needed me? Tears streamed down her face, and the beast girl couldn't hold back her emotions and burst into tears like a child. I thought Lu Feng would feel pity for his daughter crying, but unexpectedly he burst out laughing. Ha ha ha, being laughed at while crying, so embarrassing. The girl turned around and shouted. What are you laughing at? Her sister was right, she was really stupid. Lu Feng said, now he was lecturing Dees. Look, for her sister was not afraid of the nobles, but attacked and killed an entire night camp. Moreover, she was showing off her strength, as if she was telling me Lu Feng. Don't play any tricks, treat her and the beastmen well. Even though we have fallen, we can still kill these nobles. He spoke for a while and then concluded. Dees, her sister was very good to her. Dees listened to each word Lu Feng said and it was as if a whole forest of understanding had opened up. It turned out that all this time her sister had done things for her. She had simply thought it was because sisters loved each other, but she didn't understand the deep meaning of the matter. Furthermore, which sister wouldn't protect her younger sister? After her younger sister grows up, wouldn't it be better to protect her older sister? The city lord said as he reached out to pat Dees's head. Lu Feng was truly good at both his profession and work, and as a leader, he was also good at mobilizing the masses. It seemed that the beast girl Dees would definitely like him this time. Thanks to Lu Feng's encouragement, Dees seemed to understand the problem. The girl stopped crying and asked Lu Feng again. Of course I can help my sister. Lu Feng replied. So the beast girl was happy again. Her eyes looked into the distance as if to say to her sister Bella. Don't worry, I will always remember you and will protect you to the end. In the snow-covered wilderness, the Wolf Knight Avery and the Beastman camp leader Brutus Bella waved goodbye to each other. They left in two different directions. They said goodbye to each other to pursue their own journeys. Leader Bella leads the Beast Knight army. His eyes showed a strong desire and determination to regain the position of the Brutus Beast tribe. Back in the beautiful Western City, the bright sunlight shines on the majestic and splendid castle. The Lord of Western City speaks. He has called you all here today because he has something important to announce. What? Move the army out of the city. Those present including Uncle Nyoban, Nyoda, Nyoer, Ili and Dees were all extremely surprised by Lu Feng's decision. Yes, I have been wanting to do that for a long time. Only by sending the army out of the city can we expand the army further. This is the military reform document, everyone take a look. Lu Feng said, holding a stack of papers in his hand for everyone to see. He continued speaking. Homa was captured, Adam was killed, their father Count Pulley will definitely charge this debt to our Western City. So we plan to deal with Pulley carefully. It turned out that all of this was part of Lu Feng's plan. He knew in advance that he would definitely have to pay off this debt. So he secretly planned to move his army outside the city to expand his forces and deal with the enemy more easily. Uncle Nyo Ban also had to admit this. He said, it was still the young master who thought things through. Young master, if we move the army out of Xi'an City, where should we station them? Nyoda asked Lu Feng, east of Xi'an City. Although the east side of the city is deserted, the terrain is rugged and the distance to the city is the shortest. If something happens in the city, it will be there in a few minutes. Lu Feng replied as he stood up. I want to create a military bunker in the east of the city, by then forming an invincible Long Fong with the navy of the Western City. A clear and unified voice rang out. All agreed with the wishes and desires of the city lord, aiming to make Taeduong City more and more stable against the enemy's threats. But what is a navy? The people looked at each other, puzzled. Seeing their amused reactions, Lu Feng did not rush to explain. He said, everyone will know when the time comes. Then he smiled mysteriously. The sunlight shone brightly on the golden flowers, shining directly on the castle. From inside the castle, someone's voice, it was unclear whether it was male or female, said that they needed to increase their manpower. The castle's defenses also needed to be reinforced. The progress of steel smelting also needed to be accelerated, increasing investment in weapons. Lu Feng sat in front of Ellie with a pen in hand, looking bewildered. When Lu Feng finished speaking, a maid beside him, whose face was unknown, said, "Young master, there's really no need to go through all this trouble. I just need to go and deal with that Count Pulley." The maid standing next to Lu Feng was a cat named Mina, with a dangerous, threatening expression like a gangster coming to collect a debt, about to beat someone up. Speaking up to here, Lu Feng started to harass Mina by patting her, but Mina immediately screamed. Lu Feng's expression was indifferent. Looking at the pile of documents on the table, he said, "How could I bear to let you take this risk?" Ellie stood nearby with a face of utter helplessness. She must have thought to herself. That's right, how could he bear to let his beloved maid go? Just let me go, we love each other so much. The sound of someone opening the door was so loud, it made a loud bang that almost slammed the door shut. The three people in the room suddenly turned to the door that was opened with a loud bang, their faces surprised, bewildered and startled, not knowing what the door had done to make it open so forcefully. The staggering, unsteady footsteps of some woman entered the room. It turned out to be Nicole, holding a bottle of wine, completely drunk, smiling at everyone in the room like an idiot, saying, "Young master, the wine you wanted to brew. I brought it, do you want to try it?" Ellie was so rude, they were discussing important matters and she was drunk, her face was dark and she was still talking nonsense. The three people didn't understand, their faces seemed to say, "What the hell is going on? Why did Nicole suddenly walk into the room drunk and talk nonsense?" Nicole fell into Lu Feng's arms unexpectedly, leaving him unable to deal with this lustful girl. Lu Feng helped Nicole sit down on the chair. "Hurry, sit down first." She deliberately threw herself into Lu Feng's arms, but felt shy and timid like a young girl confessing her love to her lover. The young master was so warm and gentle. So cool, so soft, Ellie acted like Lu Feng was an air conditioner, with her body pillow. Lu Feng's face was helpless towards Nicole. He helped her down to his seat, said, looking at her like this, "She must have tasted the wine right after it was distilled, and then got drunk." Lu Feng finished speaking, then took the wine bottle on the table to try it, with a satisfied face when he smelled the wine bottle was so fragrant like lychee and Van Tan Hoa Quoc, said the fragrant wine made Mina and Ellie standing behind curious, wanting to try how delicious this wine was that it made Nicole so drunk. Ellie's eyes lit up like car headlights, her face smug, she said, "It seems like this is the first distilled water, the alcohol content is probably around 20 to 25 degrees. It's much stronger than the previous 78-degree rice wine. If it was sold outside, the nobles here would fight over it until their heads exploded. We can produce a little more to sell to those nobles." Ellie acts like she is a wine expert at a big company, knows everything, and is even motivated to produce a lot for the nobles, but she doesn't even know what wine tastes like, so she's acting like she's being too pretentious. Lu Feng immediately shook his head, disagreeing with Ellie's opinion. He stood with his hands on his hips towards the two demonesses. Mina and Ellie looked at Lu Feng with longing, their eyes never leaving him for a second as if they were waiting. He said, "No, brewing wine to sell would be too much of a waste of barley. Winter is coming, there are still many beastmen in the city, people are not full yet, must save enough food for winter." With a satisfied expression, confident expression, put hand on chin and think like an 80-year-old man, he thought. But can make some perfume, disinfectant. Those do not cost much food. Such calculation is also reasonable. Nicole was drunk and sitting on someone else's working chair. She was no longer aware of what was going on around her. She said, "Oh my, it's so hot that she could die." She started to feel hot inside, so she unbuttoned her shirt to feel more comfortable. Lu Feng couldn't bear it any longer, and his nose bled when he saw this hot scene. Then Lu Feng shamelessly carried Nicole back to the room. "I carried Nicole back to the room first." Behind him were Ellie and Mina standing with shocked faces, speechless when they saw the person they loved carrying another woman back to the room. In their minds, they thought that after carrying her, who knows what they were doing in there. Ellie stood with her arms crossed, her expression full of disdain for Nicole, and her eyes longing for the wine bottle. Nicole was so weak, she had to let the young master carry her back to her room. Ellie reached out for the wine bottle, thinking, what if I got drunk too? No matter how I thought about it, I also wanted to be like everyone else, also wanted to be carried by the boss. What a cute scheme. Suddenly another hand touched Ellie's hand, also wanting to try the wine bottle in front of her. It turned out that Mina wanted to try the wine bottle. Our eyes met like our eyes met, just wanting to say love for a long, long time. Mina's face was full of mystery at this moment, standing in front of Ellie and said, "Ellie, you want to pretend to be drunk, right? Then let the young master carry you back to your room." Mina was absolutely right, but Ellie still denied it. Her expression was as if there was no such thing. No way, she was just curious about what this wine tasted like. Moreover, her alcohol tolerance was quite good, she drank a lot before everyone praised her for being good. Mina's smug smile seemed to be criticizing Ellie. Really, I'm sure they're not fooling kids. After hearing that, Ellie was startled and panicked, her face pale as she looked back at the body that looked like a harem or weibo in anime. The body looked like a straight airport for planes to land on from above, then she shouted at the maid Mina. Despicable, hateful. You, Mina, you are such a sick-minded cat, you are getting worse by the day. Then Ellie's face was full of annoyance, she grabbed the wine bottle as if someone had just robbed her mother, and said, I'm not a kid. Mina stood behind helplessly, scared when she saw her sister Ellie's attitude, her eyes open wide like a toy frog in the market. Ellie picked up the bottle of wine and drank it all in one gulp, as if she was dying of thirst in prehistoric times. Ellie's expression while drinking was exactly like a puffer fish puffing out its cheeks. After taking a gulp of wine, Ellie slammed the bottle down, shaking the whole room. It was like a guy who had too much beer and slammed his glass down. Ellie threw the bottle down, her face full of joy, not knowing whether she was crying or laughing. She said, delicious, so delicious, I can still drink it. Her alcohol tolerance was too strong, she had only taken one sip but her face was as red as a boiled shrimp, then she laughed crazily. Mina, with a face like a dead fish, stood indifferently behind, looking at Ellie helplessly, speechless. After saying that, Ellie got drunk and fell down with a thud. Mina sat down next to Ellie, pointed at her face and laughed happily when she saw Ellie was so confident that her alcohol tolerance was very high. Mina happily said that she fell down after just one sip, and even praised herself for knowing how to drink. If you say she's a kid, you won't believe it. Mina suddenly glanced at the wine bottle, thinking, oh, I might as well give it a try. Mina picked up the wine bottle, made a shy and embarrassed face, then leaned back and opened her mouth to put the spout of the wine bottle into her mouth. Then Mina acted like a wine expert, thinking. A bit bitter, with the aroma of rice, the feeling is hard to describe, then just take a sip. After only taking a sip, Mina, like Ellie, started to feel uneasy. Lu Feng returned to his office, looking exhausted after sending Nicole back. He said, taking care of drunk people is so tiring, just one girl and already complaining, who knows what will happen next. Mina stood in front of Lu Feng, her expression full of love, her face red like a boiled shrimp. The two girls had only taken one sip when they started talking nonsense. Mina threw herself into Lu Feng's arms and said, Master, you've worked hard. As a reward, let me sleep with you tonight. Saying such sensitive words without any grace, she brought her mouth full of alcohol close to Lu Feng's ear and breathed out. Lu Feng opened his mouth wide at this moment, his face was shy and embarrassed as if he was about to get married, his mouth was wide open and his heart was beating so fast that it was about to fall out. He shouted. Ha! On the outside he was acting shy and embarrassed, but on the inside he was so happy that he was almost dying of lying. Ellie appeared from somewhere. Ellie hugged Lu Feng's leg tightly, not letting go or leaving, saying, I also want to sleep with young master. Lu Feng was surprised, bewildered, and astonished to see everyone was drunk, then hugged his arms and legs, making him unable to move and screaming. Why is everyone drunk? Then Lu Feng with a meaningful smile, made a mean, sly face looking towards the two girls, intending to do something shady with this girl. Suddenly a loud pop sounded, it turned out to be a panda. Lu Feng suddenly shouted. Caesar. Lu Feng took a breath, carried these drunk people back to the room, with difficulty walking in 2 rows as he had to drag the 2 female demons back to the room with Nicole once again. It looked like my pregnant cat walking in 2 rows, he said. It seems that a gentleman should not take advantage of others when they are in danger. He took them all back to the room, slept with them and they slept and didn't know when they would wake up. At this time, in the western city, snow and smoke had covered the entire city. The space was immersed in cold snowstorms, the scene was like a fairy tale, the white fog was cold enough to penetrate the human body. Mr. Sorrow's son from the castle-like rental housing complex in the western city was quickly urging his father to hurry up so he could go to school. Dad, hurry up, I'm going to be late for class, Miss Via will scold me. If you don't go, I'll go myself and show you. Little brat, take it easy. You need to be calm in everything you do. How many times have I told you, don't you remember? I'm here. Mr. Sorrow calmly taught and responded to his naughty son. Come. It's snowing so hard, it's dangerous for a little brat like you to go out alone. Why are you so hasty? The weather is freezing. This rebellious little brat. He dared to chase away his tutor, who I had spent so much effort to persuade, and he still refused to come and teach him. Now he is making a fuss about going to Taeduong Elementary School. It is true that children should study with their peers. Mr. Sorrow put his hands behind his head. His eyes were shining brightly as he looked at his son. He was laughing happily because he was about to go to school. The boy was excited and full of anticipation. Yesterday, Mrs. Via had told the story of Sun Wukong meeting the 3rd incarnation of the White Bone Demon. You really want to know more? Will Sun Wukong kill the White Bone Demon? You really can't wait. Hello, Mr. Sorrow. Hello, baby. Miss Via looked hurried, her whole body was covered in a bright red fur coat, happily waving to Mr. Sorrow who was standing blankly in front of the house looking at her. The teacher looked surprised and asked again. Is that you, Miss Via? What wind has brought you here in this cold, heart-chilling winter? Hello, Miss Via, you look so beautiful today. Teacher Via raised her head, revealing sparkling eyes, red cheeks from the cold, tremblingly replied. Brother Sorrow, it's snowing so hard, I've come here for a long time. I came to tell you, school is closed today, you don't need to come to class for the next few days. Boo-hoo, no way. What about my white bone spirit? I won't let him. The little boy cried and whined, demanding to go to school. Miss Via still smiled affectionately and replied. Wait until the snow stops, then you can go back to school. Then you can listen to me tell you everything, okay? Huh, yes. It's late, goodbye father and son. I have to go and inform the other children. Father and son happily waved goodbye to Ms. Via. I love you, I will wait until school returns to listen to you tell the story of Sun Wukong. Humph, this guy. Mr. Sorrow gritted his teeth and grabbed the kid's head. Ah, so he wanted to go to school to listen to stories. It hurts, Daddy, it hurts. Oh well, I won't pinch your ears anymore. The next few days off from school are fine, your sister is coming soon. When the time comes, let's go pick her up together, okay kid? What did Dad say? What did he say? Boo-hoo, no way. That devil, you're here? Hoo-hoo, it's really 100 ways of suffering, I really feel sorry for my body. The wind is so cold, it penetrates to the bone, I shiver, come inside, kid. Via had already informed all the students and hurried back. When she returned to the city, Mr. Buff hurriedly asked, How is it, Miss Via? Have you informed all the students? I also just went to the orphanage and a lady announced that we don't need to go to school until the snow stops. The son of the secretary Buff also replied. Interrupting, Mr. Buff continued. This time last year, many houses were buried in snow, many people had nothing to eat, and it was extremely miserable. The snow fell and no trees or crops could survive. It was cold, people had no clothes to wear, and then they either starved to death or froze to death. It's different now. We have enough to eat, warm clothes, and a good place to live. Mr. Buff spoke proudly about the city lord Lu Feng. He continued. By the way, to make it easier for people to travel, the soldiers also cleared the snow from the roads. All of this is thanks to the city lord. The snow continued to fall heavily. Via returned to the castle at this time, she opened the door wide and saw no one. Why is it so empty? Where did everyone go? Knock knock, young master, are you awake? It's morning. Via knocked on Lu Feng's door, but when no one answered, she opened the door and walked in. But immediately an unexpected scene caught her eyes. Why were those people sleeping together on the young master's bed? Lu Feng woke up at this moment, confused as to why he was lying between Mina, Nicole and Ellie. The three remaining girls opened their eyes at the same time, looking at each other in confusion. Ha ha ha, what's going on? What the hell? What's going on? The three girls suddenly screamed in surprise. Ha, Lu Feng smiled and said, the most frightening thing is that these drunkards don't remember anything anymore. Via's eyes and nose widened, she was so scared that she turned into a rabbit. She hurriedly said, sorry, I'm going out now. Lu Feng was embarrassed and quickly stopped her, shouting out the door. No, wait Via. Yes, what's wrong? Via stopped and turned to ask Lu Feng. Lu Feng looked like an idiot, his face was blank, he scratched his head and said. Well, I just happened to want to bring you to this place. Outside, the wind was still howling in cold gusts, freezing hearts and chilling souls. People were still actively shoveling snow and clearing the roads. Via opened her eyes wide and asked Lu Feng in surprise. Young master, what is this? Why ask? Just go in and see. And finally the two of them saw it, this cucumber was big and fresh, and there were also chili peppers. Seeing this scene, Via couldn't help but be surprised. Wow, how is this possible? It's winter now, how come there are so many fresh vegetables like this? Oh, they look so delicious. I'm craving them, everything is so fresh and green. Could it be that the young master is a fairy with magic? What is it, Via? Lu Feng thought to himself, dumbfounded. Lu Feng replied Via, that's right. This is scientific magic, if you want to learn, I will teach you later. Really, this can teach me? Oh, I love it. Of course, not only do I want to teach you, but I also want you to teach students this scientific knowledge. Speaking up to here, Lu Feng's eyes were firm, thinking to himself. That's right, science and technology are the power of production. It is number one, I must popularize this scientific knowledge in Xi'an City. As he thought, Lu Feng clenched his green pumpkin, his thoughts becoming more resolute. How long it will take depends on the level of talent here. Then he passed out a cucumber and gave it to Via, inviting her to try it. Here, try the cucumber from my hometown. You can eat it raw or cooked. Crunchy, crunchy, oh my, biting into a piece of fresh green cucumber, the cool, sweet juice melts into my mouth. Via ate and exclaimed. The more she ate, the more she wanted to eat. Ah, so fresh and crispy, so delicious. So delicious that Via's rabbit ears stood up with delight. Uncle, I picked some and brought them back to the orphanage. I'm sure the children will love them. Wait, how can I pick it? Via thought to herself, if she sold these, she was afraid that each one would cost more than 10 copper coins and there would still be people fighting to buy them. Lu Feng just smiled and replied gently and affectionately. If you want to pick them, then pick them. Bring some back for the kids. They're homegrown, don't think too much about it. Oh, uncle, you're so kind. Lu Feng continued, but first, we have to finish the main thing. We still have to pick a lot of vegetables. Sir, why do we pick so many vegetables? While picking, the two of them looked at the rows of fresh green vegetables, engrossed in talking to their uncle, and Via's hand touched Lu Feng's hand. Suddenly our eyes met, our hands touched for a long time. This moment seemed to freeze. Ah, Via quickly withdrew her hand. It seems like today is the first time he is alone with the young master. Why is his heart beating so fast? Lu Feng did not care about Via's feelings. He still smiled and said. Huh, didn't I tell you? Today is Mina's birthday. Huh, today is Mina's birthday. Via was confused, she didn't say anything more. She continued to pick more vegetables to put in the basket with Lu Feng. When the two of them returned to the city, Ellie shouted loudly. Wow, what is this? Oh my god. On the table was a pot of fragrant water. There were two compartments. One was red and spicy. The other was sweet and milky white. What was that? There were also kimchi mushrooms, king oyster mushrooms, tofu, thinly sliced beef, and fresh chicken. It smells so good. And there are so many fresh vegetables. So this is what I picked this morning. It looks delicious. Lu Feng explained it this time. This is called hot pot. Everyone at the dining table was confused, not understanding what was going on. Lu Feng continued. In this cold weather, hot pot would be the most suitable dish for freezing days. Today is Mina's 18th birthday. Happy birthday, Mina. Happy birthday, Mina. Mina's face was filled with happiness as she thanked the master. Yes, thank you very much, master. Everyone said in unison. Happy birthday, Mina. Ha ha ha, hi, so much fun. Everyone cheered loudly and excitedly. Thank you, master, thank you very much everyone. Mina said gratefully. Lu Feng stood up and said. Alright, let's eat. This is a Mandarin duck hot pot. See the two compartments? One side is spicy broth, the other side is chicken bone broth. Pick up a piece of food and dip it in whatever flavor you like. Oh my god, this is so delicious. It's unbelievably delicious. It's been a long time since I've had hot pot. Lu Feng picked up a piece of tender beef and put it in his mouth, enjoying it and exclaiming. Everyone was in an uproar when they saw this. Come on, I want to try too. Me too, me too. The delicious sounds started to ring out. Dees picked up a piece of tender, sweet beef and put it in her mouth, wanting more. It was so delicious. Quickly bring the plate of beef over here. So spicy, oh, so spicy. Mina dipped the beef with the stewed chicken bone in her mouth and completely immersed herself in the delicious, chewy, sweet taste of the beef. Her body felt lightheaded, oh so delicious. Opening the lid of the Coca-Cola, foam flowed into Lu Feng's hand, he passed it to everyone. Here everyone, try this. Ellie grabbed it and poured it into her mouth. Wow, so delicious, young master. Young master, what is this that is so delicious? This, I would like to introduce. This bottle of water is called Coca-Cola. I must say it's really awesome. Hee hee, Coca-Cola, it's really amazing. Mina tried a sip and spit it all over the table. Oh my gosh, it's spicy, young master. Haha, Lu Feng explained. It seems the carbonated drink is a bit stimulating to the cat's tongue. Everyone was now full, rubbing their stomachs and saying how full they were. At this moment, Nicole pulled out a book called 32 Soup Recipes from her shirt. Mina, this is your birthday present. These are 32 soup recipes that I researched myself. Wow, thank you so much, Nicole. Here's my gift. Ellie also took out a box from her. It was all designed by me, open it and see. Mina opened the box. All the lollipops were colorful and had different styles of kitten faces. Mina was squinting with joy. Oh my gosh, so cute, thanks Ellie. Via and Sumi also competed to give out their gifts. Via said, this is my cake, and this is my drawing. Thank you all very much. At this moment, the beast woman Dees also opened the pizza box and said, and this is the pizza that I baked myself. However, this pizza turned into a burnt pizza. Mina looked into the pizza box, smiling, but she thanked Dees anyway. She stood up and spoke loudly, thanking everyone. I accept all of your kindness. Finally it's my turn. Lu Feng was pleased, raised his hand and coughed a few times to signal everyone. Now, my turn. This is my present, open it Mina. Mina and everyone looked up at the huge gift. Tall in front of them. Lu Feng pulled his hand hard and the bow tie fell off. Wow, this is a giant teddy bear cat. So cute, Lu Feng said. You can hug this every night before going to bed. It's very soft. Hoo hoo, I really like this gift.